Now, the greatest radio shows of all time.
Suspense.
The Shadow Node.
Washington calling David Harding, counter-spy.
Classic radio theater.
The Great Gildersleeve. Fibber McGee and Molly.
Dragnet.
Gunsmoke. The Lone Ranger.
Now, step back into a time machine with your host, Wyatt Cox.
Good evening, friends of the Inner Sanctum.
A Criminal Saturday edition of the podcast with episodes of Dragnet, The Chase, and Big Town. And then we'll continue with an episode of Sealing Unlimited by Orson Welles. It's a wartime show talking about aviation. We'll also talk with Jonathan Thomas, hear more about his Christmas on the Moon, and we'll wrap it all up with another episode of Claudia. That's all coming up on this Saturday. It is the last day of the month, 30th day of November, 335th day of the year, 31 days remaining. In New Orleans on this date in 1803, Spanish representatives officially transferred Louisiana Territory to a French representative. Just 20 days later, France transferred the same land to the U.S. as the Louisiana Purchase. In 1804, the Jeffersonian Republican-controlled U.S. Senate began an impeachment trial against Federalist partisan Supreme Court of the United States Justice Samuel Chase. In 1940, Lucille Ball Desi Arnaz married in Greenwich, Connecticut.
Listen, Fred, I got an awful problem on my hand. You should have thought of that before you married her.
Desi with William Pawley, Desi and Lucy, married on this date in 1940. In Sylacauga, Alabama, on this date in 1954, an 8.5-pound sulfide meteorite crashed through a roof and hit Mrs. Elizabeth Hodges in her living room after bouncing off her radio, giving her a bad bruise, and the only unequivocal known case of a human being hit by a space rock. It was on this date in 1960 Groucho Marx was very sad because production of the DeSoto automobile brand ceased. On this date in 1965, Ralph Nader's Unsafe at Any Speed was released. The book put dangerous U.S. auto industry trends in the spotlight.
If General Motors wishes to know why I spent an inordinate amount of time on the Corvair, it is because the Corvair is an inordinately dangerous vehicle.
Nader speaking before a Senate subcommittee on some of the book's findings. In 1972, White House Press Secretary Ron Ziegler told the press there would be no more public announcements concerning American troop withdrawals from Vietnam due to the fact that troop levels were below 27,000. A little over a month after he passed away, CBS TV aired the final new Bing Crosby Christmas special on this date in 1977. It featured a unique duet with Der Bingle and a youngster, David Bowie.
They told me, ba-rum-pa-pum-pum, a newborn king to see, ba-rum-pa-pum-pum. Our finest gifts we bring, ba-rum-pa-pum-pum, rum-pa-pum-pum, rum-pa-pum-pum. Peace on earth, can it be? Years from now, perhaps we'll see our finest day of glory. Say the day live in peace, so peace on earth.
Bowie didn't feel the little drummer boy was right for him, so the special Peace on Earth verse written and arranged. Bowie liked it. It was recorded on September 11th, 1977. Crosby died of a heart attack about a month later. Interestingly enough, this Christmas, there will be a brand new Bing Crosby duet release. This one with the a singer with mega-selling South Korean boy band BTS. And that is going to be very, very interesting to hear. Alrighty, as we roll on here, in 1979, Pink Floyd released the album The Wall. In 1993, President Clinton signed the Brady Handgun Violence Prevention Act, the Brady Bill, into law.
What we are witnessing today is more than a bill signing, is the end of unchecked madness.
Former White House Press Secretary James Brady, who was badly wounded during the assassination attempt on President Reagan in 1981. In Seattle on this date in 1999, protests against the World Trade Organization meeting by anti-globalization protesters caught police unprepared and forced the cancellation of opening ceremonies. It was in 2004 longtime Jeopardy champion Ken Jennings finally lost, leaving him with a scant $2.5 million, television's all-time biggest game show haul. In 2018, a magnitude 7.0 earthquake with its epicenter only 15 miles from Anchorage, Alaska, caused significant property damage, but thankfully no deaths. Deaths that did occur on this date include Tiny Tim tiptoeing through the tulips, also Gertrude Ederle, actor-producer Paul Walker, actor-comedian Jim Nabors, Fleetwood Mac's Christy McVeigh, and President 41, George Herbert Walker Bush.
He's a terrific guy, and he'll be missed, and he led a full life and a very exemplary life.
President Trump with tribute to George Herbert Walker Bush, who passed away on this date in 2018. Birthdays on this date include Samuel Clements, known best as Writer Mark Twain, the Prime Minister of the UK and Nobel Prize laureate Sir Winston Churchill.
I have never promised anything but blood, tears, toil, and sweat.
We shall defend every village, every town, and every city. Let us therefore brace ourselves to our duty, and so bear ourselves that if the British Empire and its Commonwealth last for 1,000 years, men will still say, this was their finest hour.
And I expect we're going to have problems on copyright on that because while we have no issue with American politicians, for some reason British politicians are protected by some form of copyright. I don't know why. Anyway, Sir Winston Churchill, born on this date in history. Actor Ephraim Zimbalist Jr., actress Virginia Mayo, comedian Alan Sherman. Hello, Mudda. Hello, Fada. In fact, you may not know, he was a producer on the original I've Got a Secret program before his big hit record hit. Alan, what was it? My Son the Comedian, I think that was the name of it. I'll look it up. Actor Richard Crenna, born on this date. Benson star Robert Guillaume, born on this date, and TV host Dick Clark.
I'm involved in a world that I really, really enjoy. I love music. I love entertainment of all kinds. Luckily, I like kids. You put all of those together, and it becomes sort of like a career that a doctor might have. You stay on top of the latest operations, the latest medications, what's new. It really doesn't have anything to do with your chronological age. You only atrophy and get old if you stop thinking of new things. And this particular area of making a living, the entertainment world, has a big tendency to keep you young. And I feel very fortunate to still be involved. I hope to be involved till they carry me away.
And he was in the entertainment industry until they carried him away in 2012. Dick Clark, born on this date in history. By the way, Alan Sherman's album was My Son the Folk Singer. Which, heaven forbid. Also born on this date in history, Watergate operative turned talk show host G. Gordon Liddy, born on this date, and a country musician, Mindy McCready, also born on this date in history.
Hi, this is Jeff Foxworthy. It is now time for the birthday announcements. The following people are now officially older than dirt.
The woman responsible for the Children's Television Workshop and Sesame Street, Joan Gans Cooney is 95 years old today. From Peter, Paul, and Mary, Paul Stuckey is 87. The man who sang about I Remember You, Frank Ifield, 87 years old today. From The Princess Bride and Homeland, Mandy Patinkin is 72.
We don't want to spook up in his ear before we know how many others he's activated, which is why we need to initiate an operation immediately. Work up files on all these people.
From Homeland, Mandy Patinkin, 72 years old today. Billy Idol, 69.
1984. Eyes without a face. Eyes without a face. Eyes without a face. Got no human grace. Your eyes without a face.
Eyes Without a Face, the big hit from Billy Idol, who turned 69 today. From Whose Line Is It Anyway? Colin Mockery is 67. The lady who sang about the Two of Hearts, Stacy Q, 66. He was a big football star and a baseball star. And the video game Tecmo Bowl, all about him. Bo Jackson, 62 today. A Japanese retired pro wrestling legend, Jushin Thunder Liger, 61. The son of Jerry Stiller and Ann Mira, Ben Stiller, 59.
Are you a pothead, Fokker? No. What? No, Jack. No, I'm not. I pass on grass.
With Robert De Niro in that clip from Meet the Parents, Ben Stiller, 59 today. American Idol singer Clay Aiken is 46. From 24 and The Girl Next Door, Elisha Cuthbert is 42. From The Big Bang Theory, Kaylee Kukoc is 39. Mrs. John Legend, Chrissy Teigen, 39 years old today. And WWE wrestler Naomi Knight is 37. Those just a few of the people who celebrate the 30th day of November as their birthday. And if this happens to be your birthday...
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, happy birthday. Happy birthday to you.
A Saturday full of crime here on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox, as we start off with an episode of Dragnet, and that episode from 1952, and it is called The Big Shirt.
There is a defense against radioactive fallout. During enemy attack, get to a shelter immediately. Stay there until local officials advise you it's safe to leave. Be prepared.
And we roll on this Saturday edition of Classic Radio Theater with an episode of Dragnet. This episode originally broadcast on the last day of November 1952, 72 years ago today. It's entitled The Big Shirt.
Sound off for Chesterfield. Chesterfield, the only cigarette in America to give you premium quality in both regular and king size, brings you Dragnet.
Ladies and gentlemen, the story you are about to hear is true. The names have been changed to protect the innocent. You're a detective sergeant. You're assigned to homicide detail. The body of a dead man has been found in the rear of his shop. He has been brutally beaten to death. The killer is unknown. Your job, find him. Thousands are changing to Chesterfield, both regular and king size, because Chesterfield is the first and only cigarette to give you premium quality in both sizes.
That means king-size Chesterfield contains tobaccos of better quality and higher price than any other king-size cigarette.
It's the same fine tobacco as in regular Chesterfield. There is absolutely no difference, except that king-size Chesterfield is larger, contains so much more of the same tobaccos, it gives more than a fifth longer smoke. Yes, more than a fifth longer smoke.
So remember, Chesterfield is the only cigarette to give you premium quality in both regular and king size.
Buy 'em either way you like 'em. Premium quality Chesterfield, and much milder.
Dragnet, the documented drama of an actual crime. For the next 30 minutes, in cooperation with the Los Angeles Police Department, you will travel step by step on the side of the law through an actual case transcribed from official police files. From beginning to end, from crime to punishment, Dragnet is the story of your police force in action.
It was Monday, July 5th. It was hot in Los Angeles. We were working the day watch out of homicide detail. My partner's Frank Smith. The boss is Captain Lorman. My name's Friday. It was 7:58 a.m. when I got to room 42. Homicide.
That you, Joe?
Yeah. How's it going?
Don't ask me.
What's the matter?
Went to the beach yesterday. Got so sunburned I could hardly sleep last night. I'm just miserable, Joe. It's going to be a week before I can wear a shirt without feeling I got army blanket on.
Well, can't you get something for it? Something to make it feel a little better anyway?
Don't bring that up either.
What's that?
If you've got any homemade remedies for sunburn, keep them to yourself. I've had them for now.
Yeah, why? What's the matter?
Like I said, we went to the beach yesterday. Beautiful day. They fixed up a lunch, sandwiches, potato salad, deviled eggs, all that stuff.
Yeah, I know.
We went down to Castle Rock, you know, down the highway.
Yeah.
Just had a ball. Just great. Kids played in the water, and then when it got dark, we had a few 4th of July things for them. You know, sparklers, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
When I got home, and I started to feel it.
What, the sunburn?
Yeah. Back feels like it's on fire, Joe. Legs feel like I got them in hot oil. Believe me, it's terrible. Took off my shirt, pants at home, just sitting there in my shorts. I was trying to figure out some way to stop the burning, you know.
Yeah.
Well, it happened. In comes Armand.
Oh, that's your brother-in-law, huh?
Yeah. He's read in some magazine where tea is the stuff for burns. Right away, he starts brewing tea.
Tea?
Yeah.
And you drink?
Yeah. Tells me to lay down on the floor, right flat on my stomach. I was feeling so miserable, I'd have done anything to get rid of the feeling, so I did just lay there. And he starts putting tea leaves all up and down my back of my legs, and well, felt real good at first, kind of cool, you know.
Yeah. And all this time you're laying on your stomach there.
Yeah, right in the middle of the living room floor. He put papers down first, you know, so the tea wouldn't drip all over the floor.
Well, you brew this stuff first.
Yeah, and then they put the tea leaves on me, but then the tea leaves started to dry. They crinkled all up, and the pain came back. Just miserable, Joe.
Well, did it do any good at all?
I don't know. They finally took it off and put some kind of ointment on my back. Helped a little. Had to sleep on my stomach all night. Couldn't turn over. I just lay real still. Once in a while, I'd fall asleep and roll over, and wow, I'd wake right up with the pain. I tell you, Joe, I didn't sleep at all. Not a wink.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I don't see what you're blaming Armand for. Seems like he did try to help you out, though.
Oh, sure, he tried. Whole thing was his fault. If he'd kept his big mouth shut, everything would have been all right.
How'd he figure that?
A picnic. It was his idea, Joe.
It's a hot shot. I'll get it.
What is it?
Killing down on Bixel. 8:14 a.m. We arrived at the address on South Bixel. It was a small neighborhood pawn shop. A radio car had arrived, and the 2 officers had cleared the crowd away from the entrance of the store. One of the officers showed us through a curtain into the back room. Everything was smashed. Glass cases were demolished. Clothing from the shelves had been torn down and thrown all over the floor. At one side of the room, a closet door was half open, and in the closet was the body of a man. We started to talk with George Armstrong, the victim's partner.
Terrible. I don't want to look anymore. I don't want to believe it. Anybody would do this to Mark.
Mark? Is that your partner's name?
Yes, sir, Mark Williams, my friend. We've been together the last 15 years. With each other for 10 years before that. I don't want to think about it.
Would you like to step out here, sir? Front part of the store?
Well, would it be all right?
Yes, be fine.
I'll call the crime lab, Joe.
All right, good.
Where's the phone, sir?
It's back there on the wall.
Thanks.
I'd like to ask you some questions, if it'd be all right.
Yes?
You discovered the body, is that right?
Well, yes, this morning when I came in, I opened the store like I always do, about, I think it was 7:45, I guess it was, something like that.
I see.
I opened the front door like I usually do, and then I came in and put the water on for some tea. You can see there, see that hot plate? Mark and I usually have a cup of tea when he comes in.
I see.
Well, then I went to the back room to hang up my coat. First, I thought that somebody had tried to rob the place. The way things, were scattered all over. Then I saw Mark laying on the floor, and I called you.
They're on the way, Joe. Okay. Did you always open up the store by yourself, Mr. Armstrong?
Yes. I don't know how it started, but somewhere along the line, I'd open up the place, and then Mark would clean up the shop and close. It's been that way for years.
When did you last see Mr. Williams? That is, when did you see him alive?
Saturday night. I left about 5:45. He was closing the place up. I told him that I'd meet him for breakfast Sunday morning. He wasn't there. I tried to call him at home, but there wasn't any answer. His landlady hadn't seen him.
Was he married, do you know?
No, he wasn't married. Same thing happened to both of us. Neither one of us married.
What's that, sir?
Well, you see, Mark and I are both in love with the same girl when we were younger. Used to take her to the park in the summer, listen to the band, concerts. Three of us, we used to go every place together. Like I said, both of us were in love with her. Well, things went along just fine for a year or so, and then she got married to someone else. Mark and I were pretty sad about it. Couldn't blame the girl, though. The guy she married was rich. He had a big house and was a good family. And we didn't have much of anything. No, neither of us married. Just never seemed to find a girl compared with Kate.
Kate?
Kate Dillon. She's a lovely girl.
This meeting you were going to have yesterday morning, was that a regular thing?
Oh, yes, it was. You see, about the only relaxation Mark and I had was bowling on the green.
Bowling?
Every Sunday that it didn't rain, we'd meet for breakfast and then catch a bus out to Exposition Park. Bowling club out there. Mark and I both belonged. Mark was a sort of local champion. Played a real good game.
Well, didn't you think that anything was wrong when he didn't meet you yesterday?
Well, yes, I did. I did at first. Then I got to thinking about it, and I figured maybe he wasn't feeling too good. Just didn't want to go out to the club.
Yes, sir?
He'd get like that, moody. Just for no reason at all. Decided he didn't want to go anyplace at all. Just sit in his room. Almost always came to work, even when he was in the mood. But now and then he'd just sit up there and look out the window.
Was there any special reason for all this?
No, not that I know of. He just get like that. No special reason. When he did, you just had to sit and let the mood pass. Nothing else to do.
I see. Well, did Mr. Williams have any enemies that you'd know of? Anyone at all that might do a thing like this?
No, sir. No one.
Was he alone when you left him Saturday night?
Yes, he was straightening up the shelves, getting the things in order. But he was all by himself. No one was here.
Well, have you ever had any trouble with anyone in the neighborhood lately? Somebody who might have been looking for trouble, maybe?
Well, Sergeant, most of our customers have trouble.
Well, yes, sir, but about how much money was on the premises when you left?
Maybe $1,500.
Where'd you keep the money?
In the safe, right there. You can see for yourself it's all right.
Would you mind opening it up just to be sure?
Well, if you want me to, but I'm sure everything's okay.
If you wouldn't mind, sir.
Okay. I know there's nothing wrong here. 43. You can see for yourself that everything's okay, can't you? 16 left.
Yes, sir, we just want to be sure.
Right to 8. There, you can see it.
Is the money kept in that strong box?
Yes, sir.
Who knew the combination to this safe? I mean, besides you.
Just Mark and me. We were the only ones. There, all the money's there.
Is there anything else missing from the store? Anything that you can see?
Well, Sergeant, look around you. If there was anything, how could I tell? I'd have to take a complete inventory. Well, what difference does it make? How's it going to help Mark?
Well, it's pretty important we find out why he was killed the way he was, sir. A beating and all. If you'd look around, you might be able to come up with something.
Oh, all right, I'll look around, but I tell you, I don't think there's anything gone.
All right, if you just do that, we'll look over the back room if it'll be all right. Pretty bad, huh, Joe? Yeah. Looks like revenge could have been the motive, maybe, from the looks of things here. Yeah, it'd have to be something like that. Terrible beating. The way the place is all smashed up. Yeah. Frank? Yeah? Come over here. Yeah? Look here in the closet. You can see it there under the body. Oh, yeah, looks like a hand axe. Yeah. Might have been trying to defend himself, huh? Well, maybe.
Sergeant?
Yes, sir?
You were right, absolutely right.
What's that, sir?
Well, he did steal something. The gun case has been broken into.
Yes, sir. Anything missing?
A couple of revolvers.
8:32 a.m. The crime lab crew arrived and went over the place. In the back room, under a pile of clothes, they found a 10-inch length of lead pipe. Dean Bergman from Leighton Prince dusted the room. the safe in the store, and the lead pipe. He came up with several clean prints. He rolled the dead man's fingerprints, and then he took Armstrong's. Comparison with those he'd found eliminated all of them except a partial print on the safe. The coroner arrived and removed the body. Frank and I canvassed the neighborhood, but none of the people in the area had noticed anyone suspicious in the last few days. We called the office, and Sergeants Joe LaMonica and Howard Hudson came out to help us in the search of the vicinity. The axe found in the hands of the victim, Mark Williams, had stains on the blade. A closer check of the pawn shop showed that several articles other than the guns had been stolen. George Armstrong gave us a complete list of the missing property along with the serial numbers of the guns. 11:34 a.m. Frank and I checked back into the city hall. Frank, did you get the APBs out?
Yeah? Notified the pawn shop detail. Any word from LaMonica and Hudson?
No, not yet. At least there's nothing in the book there. I get it. Homicide Friday. Oh, yeah, Joe. Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, we haven't heard from him yet. No. Where? Yeah. Yeah, well, that figures. Uh-huh. Okay, thanks. It's LaMonica. He and Hudson found a blood-stained shirt in an alley behind an apartment house a couple of blocks from the pawn shop.
Yeah?
Checked the apartment register, and they found a Wallace Holmes listed.
Holmes?
Yeah, LaMonica knows him.
Yeah?
Just served 6 months for violation of the Narcotics Act. (12:02 p.m.) We ran the name Wallace Holmes through R&I. He had a record dating back almost 10 years. He'd been arrested twice for violation of the State Health and Safety Code and once on suspicion of 211 PC. We talked to the neighbors in the apartment building where he lived, but they told us that Holmes had been in bed with a bad cold for the past 3 days. Several of them had taken him food on occasion and stated positively that he could not have left the apartment. Bergman checked his fingerprints against those we'd found at the pawn shop. There was no make. A stakeout was placed on the building. 2:15 p.m. We checked with the crime lab to see if Ray Pinker had finished the tests on the physical evidence that he'd collected at the murder scene.
Looks like the lead pipe. Can you tell us anything about the killer?
Nothing except he's WMA.
How about the other bloodstains, Ray?
Test out type O, victim's type B.
Well, figures that he managed to hit the killer with the axe then, huh?
Possible.
How about the shirt? You find anything on it?
We haven't finished the tests on the dust particles we found in the pockets yet. Precipitant test shows it's human blood. Haven't had a chance to group it yet.
How about any laundry markings? Anything there, Ray?
Yeah, I was just about to check it. Spread it out here. You want to get those lights, Frank?
Yeah, I'll go.
Turn on this fluorescent. Yeah. Laundry marking here.
Yeah. Looks like RJ. Mm-hmm. Is that right? And there's a number there, too, isn't there?
769-02.
Anything else, Ray?
Looks like that's about it.
What laundry, would you know?
Yeah, I think so. Marking's the same type as Consolidated Central Laundry uses. Big place out on Pico.
Mm-hmm.
Handle cleaning for a lot of small neighborhood places in town. I can give you the address.
Okay, anything else?
I had a 15 neck and a 33 sleeve.
Average size, not much help, huh?
Maybe I can give you some more when I get through the dust particles in the pockets.
Yeah, okay. Wish we had a little more to go on.
Well, you got a piece of lead pipe, a stained shirt, and an axe that looks like it's been recently used.
Yeah.
They all connect somewhere along the line.
Yeah, all we got to do is find out where. 2:58 p.m. Frank and I drove out to the Consolidated Central Laundry. We talked to the manager, and he looked through the files. He was able to tell us that the shirt had been laundered at a small cleaning place on South Hill. He gave us the address, and Frank and I drove over. We talked to the manager of the shop.
Uh-huh. Yeah, it's our number, all right.
Yes, sir. Would it be possible for you to tell us who owns the shirt?
Yeah, I'll look it up in the book. Let's see, RJ 769-02.
Mm-hmm, that's right.
Let's see, 642, 98.7. Yeah, here it is. John Dunlap, address out on 3rd Street. Say, what do you want to know about the shirt for? Dunlap done something?
Oh, we're just conducting an investigation here.
Oh.
Wonder if you'd describe this Dunlap for us.
Oh, sure. I've known John for years. Been bringing his things in here for at least 8, maybe 9 years.
Could you give us a description of him, you think?
Yeah, Johnny's about my size, maybe 5'11". Weighs about 180.
How about his coloring?
Huh?
His coloring. Is he dark or light complected?
Oh, yeah. Well, I guess you'd say maybe sort of medium. Yeah, medium.
Does he have any marks or scars on him? Anything unusual about him?
Well, if you asked me that yesterday, I'd have said no.
How's that?
Well, up till this morning. John came in this morning, and there was nothing that made him stand out up till then. He must have had an accident over the weekend, I guess.
I don't understand.
Came in this morning, his face was all scratched up.
You are listening to Dragnet, the authentic story of your police force in action.
We like to give the facts about Chesterfield so you can be your own judge.
Chesterfield is the first and only cigarette to give you premium quality in both regular and king size.
Chesterfield is the first and only cigarette to tell you what it's made of. The world's best tobaccos. Kept tasty and fresh by pure and costly moistening agents. The best that money can buy. And Chesterfield cigarette paper is of the highest purity.
Now, Chesterfield is the first cigarette to present this scientific evidence on the effects of smoking.
A medical specialist is making regular bi-monthly examinations of a group of people from various walks of life. 45% of this group have smoked Chesterfield for an average of over 10 years. After 8 months, the medical specialist reports that he observed no adverse effects on the nose, throat, and sinuses of the group from smoking Chesterfield. I'd say that means real mildness. Either way you like them, regular or king size, you'll find premium quality Chesterfields much milder.
Monday, 5:30 p.m. Frank and I ran the name John Dunlap through R&I. We found no record on anyone answering his description. Meantime, the stakeout on Wallace Holmes' apartment where we'd found the blood-stained shirt continued. Ray Pinker had finished the test on the shirt and found that most of the blood on it was type B. However, there were also small traces of type O. The tests on the dust particles found in the pockets of the shirt netted us nothing. 6:15 p.m. We drove out to the address given us by the cleaning shop. It was a large apartment building. Dunlap was registered in the penthouse. We took the elevator up and rang the bell.
Yeah?
John Dunlap?
That's right. What can I do for you?
Police officers would like to talk to you.
Police? What do you want with me?
Just like to talk to you.
Well, okay, come on in. You can see you caught me in the shower.
This is my partner, Frank Smith. My name's Friday.
How do you do?
How do you do, sir? How do you do?
Hey, you mind if I go ahead and get dressed while we talk? I got a date and I don't want to be too late.
No, it's all right. Go right ahead.
Come on in here. What is it I can do for you, officers?
Well, I wonder if you could explain your movement Saturday night.
Saturday night?
Yes, sir.
Well, let's see. I played golf in the morning, got back from the club about 6, I guess. Miserable game, 102, lost $35. Sure was off Saturday.
Just a minute, sir. You tell us what clothes you want. We'll get them for you.
All right, hand me that shirt there, the blue one, huh?
Here you are.
Sure, a miserable game Saturday. 3-putted almost every green.
Nice-looking shirts, Dunlap.
You like them?
Well, they're nice-looking. Where do you get them?
I have them made. Can't wear store-made shirts. Neck's too long. Collar doesn't fit right.
What'd you do after you got home from the golf club?
Took a shower, then went out. Had a date. Lousy game, ruined the whole evening.
Sir?
Well, after that crummy 102, I really played the 19th hole. Got pretty loaded. By the time I got to Alice's, I was in a rare mood.
Alice?
Yeah, Alice Miller. Anyway, I was about half hour late, and she was fit to be tied. We were supposed to have dinner out in Malibu. Took us about an hour to drive out there, and Alice kept getting madder as we drove. I guess I didn't help things out any. I was in a foul mood and didn't keep it to myself.
Yeah?
Well, by the time we got there, really going at it, silly thing, no sense to the argument at all, but it just kept building. Either one of you married?
Yes, sir. My partner here is.
Well, then he knows what I mean. Well, we didn't get down to the beach till about 8:30 or 9. We got out of the car, and Alice said she wanted me to take her back home. I told her we'd just gotten there. She said she didn't care, wanted to go home.
Yeah.
I told her if she wanted to leave, it was okay with me, and I turned around to walk down to the house. You know, it's pretty dark down there.
Uh-huh.
Well, I walked right over the embankment. Must have fallen over about 6-7 feet. Didn't hurt myself much, but you can see I scratched up my face.
Yeah, we can.
Well, the long one, though, I guess it was worth it.
How's that?
Well, Alice was so scared she ran down to me, and the argument was all over. We went on into the house and had dinner.
How long were you there?
Oh, I guess until, maybe 2:30, 3 in the morning. Got to playing charades. Time just went.
You happen to know what blood type you have?
What?
Your blood type. Do you know what it is?
Oh, I think it's A, but I'm not sure, though.
Uh-huh.
You said you had your shirts made to order, huh?
Yeah, that's right. Why?
Can you tell us how someone else might have gotten one of your shirts?
Wait a minute. I don't think I understand just what's going on. Or what is this all about? You come in here and ask a lot of questions. What's it all for?
Just routine.
Routine what? It's not routine for me to have policemen come in and ask a lot of questions. Where was I Saturday night? Who makes my shirts? Who might have had them? Come on, what's the pitch?
All right. Do you know a man named Mark Williams?
Williams? No, Tom Williams sells insurance.
No, Mark Williams.
No, I don't think I know him, Mark. Anyway, what's he got to do with this?
He was killed Saturday night.
You figure maybe I did?
Well, a shirt that belongs to you was found near the scene.
My shirt?
That's right. Same label. Check the laundry markings in it. Your laundryman said it was your shirt. Said it was your number.
You talked to Harry?
Yeah, if that's his name, I guess we did.
Well, I don't understand it. Hey, wait a minute.
Yes, sir?
A couple of weeks ago, I gave a half a dozen shirts to the woman who comes in to clean up the place. She might know what happened. Let me call her and find out.
I got her number here someplace. Yeah, here it is. If anybody knows, she would. A couple of weeks ago, told her she could have him. I don't know what's the matter with him. Hello? Mrs. Lambert in, please? Yeah, thank you. Hello, Mrs. Lambert. This is John Dunlap. Oh, just fine. And you? That's good. No, I just want to know what you did with those shirts you took a couple of weeks ago. Well, no, Mrs. Lambert, I did give them to you. I just want to know what you did with them. Uh-huh. I see. Well, can you give me the address? Well, just a minute. I'll get a pencil. You have a pencil, officer?
Here you are.
Thank you. Now, go ahead, Mrs. Lambert. Uh-huh. 47? All right, thank you. No, don't you worry. Everything's all right. Yeah, well, thank you, Mrs. Lambert. Yeah, I'll see you then. Right, goodbye. A real character. Thought I wanted the shirts back.
Did she tell you what she did with them?
Yeah, I said she sold them to a second-hand store down on Bixel.
$7:20 p.m. We drove over to talk to the cleaning woman. She gave us the same story that we'd gotten from John Dunlap. We went over to the second-hand store, but it was closed. The stakeout on the apartment continued. The body had been posted, and the coroner told us that Williams had been killed at approximately midnight on Saturday night. That would allow 2 hours on either side, making it possible for the murder to take place between 10 p.m. and 2 a.m. Frank and I checked out of the office and went home. The following morning, Tuesday, July 6th at 8:17 p.m., we checked the second-hand store where the shirts had been sold. The dealer told us that he remembered the shirts. He said that he'd bought 5 of them and had only sold 1. He was able to give us a fair description of the man he'd sold the shirt to. He went on to say that he'd heard that the man was a user of narcotics. We ran the name he gave us, Fred Harris, through R&I. He had a record of violation of the State Narcotic Act. We got out an APB and a local bulletin on him. We called Narcotics Division and notified them that we wanted Harris as a suspect. We checked the address listed on his record, but we found that he'd moved and left no forwarding address. 2 days went by. We ran down all leads, but we were able to come up with nothing new. Thursday, July 8th, 8:30 a.m. Frank and I checked back into the squad room. Well, there's another one that didn't go anyplace. Yeah, well, he's got to be someplace. I get it. Homicide Friday. Oh, yeah, Joe. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, how soon will you be here? All right. Okay, right. Anything? Well, Monica and Hudson, they just picked Harris up. 11:20 a.m. Fred Harris was brought to the interrogation room. Frank and I talked to him for about an hour, but other than his name, he refused to tell us anything. We tried to lead him out. We talked about his family, about sports, food, everything we could think of. None of it worked. Harris remained sullen and uncooperative. 1:46 p.m. How about some lunch, Joe? I guess so. Harris?
No, thanks.
Well, you suit yourself. What do you want, Joe? Well, ham on rise, all right. Get some coffee, too, huh? Okay. You sure, Harris? You don't want anything to eat?
No, I told you.
Okay.
All right if I smoke?
Yeah, go ahead. Why don't you want to talk about it, Harris?
About what?
Why you killed Williams.
Who says I did?
That's the way it looks.
It looks wrong.
Well, you figured for yourself, Harris. When you killed the old man, you weren't very careful. You left a couple of prints around the place.
Yeah?
Shirt you wore, we got that. Found it right where you dropped it. Ran that down, leads right to you. Got the man who sold it to you. Identifies you.
Maybe he's wrong.
No, you know better than that. When they picked you up, you were carrying some of the things you stole from that pawn shop. You can't account for your time on Saturday night.
I told you I didn't do it. I didn't kill the old man. I just don't remember where I was that night. Didn't that happen to you? You go someplace and a couple of days later you can't remember where you were. Doesn't that ever happen to you?
Oh, yeah, once in a while.
Yeah, you see? How do you expect me to remember when you sometimes forget?
You a user?
What are you asking that for? You got the record. Look it up yourself.
Roll up your sleeve.
All right.
You're a user. You work for a living?
Yeah, sometimes.
What do you do?
Whatever I can.
When'd you last work?
A couple of weeks ago.
You haven't worked since then, huh?
No.
Where'd you get that stuff they found on you?
I don't know. Must have bought it.
Any idea where?
No.
You bought the stuff and you don't know where. Is that what you want me to believe?
Believe what you want. I don't care.
Well, here's what I believe. You tell me if I'm wrong. I think you went to the old man's pawn shop about closing time on Saturday night. You had a big yen on and no money to make a connection. You tried to rob the old man. He didn't like it, and you killed him. You killed him with that hunk of lead pipe we found, the one with your fingerprints all over it. Then you tried to get the safe open, and you couldn't. So you wiped it clean, grabbed what you could carry, and you ran out of the store. A couple of blocks away, you calmed down and took a look at yourself. You threw that shirt in the ash can, then you went up to Wallace Holmes' apartment to try to make a connection, didn't you?
He tell you all that?
No.
Now, come on, how about it? Holmes tell you that?
Now, look, you're a little mixed up, aren't you? You just answer, you don't ask.
Sure, he told you. You never found out if he did. My big pal, Wallace Holmes. After all I done for him. If I had a nickel for every pup I shared with that bum and he cops out on me, blabs everything to you. Now, one guy I'd have done anything for. Give the guy the shirt off your back, and this is the thanks I get.
Well, that's your big trouble, Harris.
What do you mean?
You ought to hang on to your shirts.
The story you have just heard was true. The names were changed to protect the innocent.
On November 15th, trial was held in Department 86, Superior Court of the State of California, in and for the County of Los Angeles. In a moment, the results of that trial.
Now, here is our star, Jack Webb.
Thank you, George Fenneman. Friends, again this year, Chesterfield has asked me to remind you to see your own neighborhood cigarette dealer first about your Christmas shopping problems. Among many wonderful gift ideas, he's featuring the gift of the year, the Chesterfield Christmas carton. Now, to my way of thinking, it's the ideal gift because Chesterfield is the only premium quality cigarette available to you shoppers in both regular and king size. Either way, regular or king size, they're a wonderful smoke and they make fine Christmas gifts. Get them from your dealer. Premium quality Chesterfields.
Fred Richard Harris was tried and convicted of murder in the first degree. He was executed in the lethal gas chamber at the State Penitentiary, San Quentin, California. You have just heard Dragnet, a series of authentic cases from official files. Technical advice comes from the Office of Chief of Police W.H. Parker, Los Angeles Police Department. Technical advisors, Captain Jack Donahoe, Sergeant Marty Wynn, Sergeant Vance Brasher. Heard tonight were Ben Alexander, Vic Rodman, Olin Soule. Script by John Robinson. Music by Walter Schumann. Hal Gibney speaking.
Sound off for Chesterfields. Either way you like them, regular or king size, you'll find premium quality Chesterfields much milder.
Chesterfield has brought you Dragnet, transcribed from Los Angeles.
72 years ago, November 30th, 1952, Dragnet here on Classic Radio Theater. In just a moment, we'll take a look at the news from 72 years ago today.
Government officials suggest that every family store a 2-week emergency food and water supply in case of attack. Choose canned or dried foods that can be eaten without cooking.
The show you just heard, Dragnet, along with the show that follows, The Chase, originally were broadcast on Sunday, November 30th, 1952. In the newspapers of that date, these were some of the headlines. Senator McCarran, the Democrat of Nevada, said last night, hearings of the Senate Internal Security Subcommittee have made it obvious that nests of communists exist not only in the secondary schools, but in many colleges. He referred to public hearings the subcommittee held in New York City earlier this fall in launching a search for any subversive influences in the nation's schools and colleges. McCarran, who heads the subcommittee, said it received testimony that there have been as many as 1,500 communists teaching in schools, both public and private. McCarran saying, though this number may not seem large in comparison with the 1 million teachers employed in the schools, the nature of the Communist Party operations makes them as dangerous as a lighted match in a powder magazine. President-elect Dwight D. Eisenhower filled another top post yesterday in the international policy sphere of his forthcoming administration. He designated Senator Henry Cabot Lodge to head the U.S. missions to the United Nations. 50-year-old Lodge will succeed Admiral Warren R. Austin, who is 75 years old and has said he wishes to retire. John Foster Dulles, the designated Secretary of State, said in announcing the appointment for Eisenhower that Lodge would be one of the administration's principal advisors and representatives in the formation of foreign policy. Pope Pius XII yesterday appointed 24 new cardinals, including the Most Reverend James Francis A. McIntyre, Archbishop of Los Angeles, and prelates from the communist Yugoslavia and Poland. Senator Wayne Morse of Oregon, who bolted the Republican Party to support Democrat Adlai Stevenson for president, announced yesterday he will vote with the Republicans to organize a new Senate, but will continue as an independent. He added in a formal statement that while he will help his former party organize the Senate in January and thus put the Republicans in control of the legislative program and committee chairmanships, he will not take part in caucuses of either party. From South Korea, Allied artillery and hundreds of fighter bombers blasted communist troops along the Korean front yesterday and easily repulsed 9 light red jabs at United Nations positions. The communists replied with heavy artillery barrages in the Sniper Ridge section of the Central Front. Front dispatches said Chinese big guns hurled 3,500 shells at the South Korean defenders of Pinpoint Hill, the highest point of Sniper Ridge, before dawn. But after this heavy preparation, the Reds followed up with only 3 light platoon-size attacks on Pinpoint, about 40 men each, and 2 other small-scale probes on nearby Rocky Point. All were repulsed. Attorney General McGranery ordered the FBI yesterday to find out once and for all whether bribes influenced the granting of paroles to 3 members of the old Al Capone gang. McGranery said that for 5 years the release from prison of Paul the Waiter Rica, Louis Little New York Campagna, and Charles Cherry Nose Yo have been a matter of various charges, including rumors of bribery. Announcing in a formal statement his orders to FBI Director J. Edgar Hoover to launch a new and bigger scale inquiry. Red China officially notified the UN yesterday it stands firmly with a Soviet Union plan for ending the Korean conflict. It rejected once more the principle of non-forcible repatriation, which forms a keystone in a Korean plan proposed by India. A long cable from Peiping to the UN merely confirmed an announcement of the Peiping radio Friday, but it was important because it was put before the weary 60-nation political committee, the first statement during this session from Red Chinese Foreign Minister Chow En-lai. It did not mention the plan by name, but there was no mistake about their stand. U.S. Senator Dennis Chavez, Democrat of New Mexico, declared the winner yesterday of the November 4th election by a 5,900 vote margin over Republican Patrick J. Hurley. The official state canvass was 122,000 votes against 117,000 votes. Hurley's attorneys immediately charged the state canvassing board with total failure to canvass returns, if there are any returns, for the office of United States Senator. The doctor attending Sister Elizabeth Kenny last night abandoned all hope for her recovery. Dr. John Ogden said the noted 66-year-old nurse who developed a treatment for polio knew she was dying before she went into a coma 2 days ago. He quotes her as saying, "I know now that this is it." Sister Kenny is suffering from cerebral thrombosis and a few days ago contracted pneumonia. Her right side is paralyzed. She is being given oxygen continuously. 65-year-old janitor charged yesterday when he went to the hospital to have a gangrenous leg amputated. Doctors cut off the wrong leg. Janitor is Gus Hughes of Chicago. He filed suit for $500,000 damages in circuit court, charging the Evangelical Hospital Association and 67 of its officials and employees with malpractice. Hughes' wife, Olga, 58, asked $150,000 damages in a separate suit. Hughes' complaint stated that his left foot was crushed by a furnace grate on December 23rd of 1951. On June 19th, his left great toe was amputated. The infection in his leg spread, though, and he returned to the hospital where he alleged his good right leg was amputated at mid-thigh July 15th. Later, Hughes' left leg amputated at Mount Sinai Hospital. And Lucky Luciano, deported New York vice king, said indignantly last night in Naples he had no part of his Mediterranean cigarette smuggling racket. Published articles in Europe recently appointed him as the possible overlord of the racket. He said, "I ain't no cigarette smuggler," in response to a reporter's questions on the articles. "I'm disgusted with that kind of talk. Look, I need no dough and need it bad, but I ain't in no racket. Why don't people leave me alone?" Those some of the day's top news stories as reported in the newspapers of Sunday, November 30th, 1952. On your radio next on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox, an episode of The Chase.
There are 2 air raid warning signals. A steady blast of 3 to 5 minutes means attack is probable. A wavering tone or series of short blasts means take cover.
By the way, no complaints about the accent I did for Lucky Luciano. I don't do a good Italian. Well, I can, but I got to think about it for a while. All right, we wrap up our look at Sunday, November 30th, 1952, with an episode of The Chase from that date 72 years ago. This episode entitled The Most Dangerous Game.
The National Broadcasting Company invites you by transcription to join The Chase. There is always the hunter and the hunted, the pursuer and the pursued. It may be the voice of authority, or a race with death and destruction, the most relentless of the hunters. There are times when laughter is heard as counterpoint, and moments when sheer terror is the theme. But always there is the chase. Tonight, NBC brings you one of the most famous chase stories ever written. The Most Dangerous Game. Written as a short story by Richard Connell and especially adapted for The Chase by Lawrence Klee.
By inclination and desire, I'm a hunter. And by the grace of inherited wealth, I've been able to satisfy that desire in every corner of the earth. I love the chase and the thrill that comes with stalking big game through a trackless jungle. But I've always been the hunter, never the hunted. I've often wondered what it would feel like to be at the receiving end of a Springfield or a Gibbs, waiting for the shattering smash of a .50 caliber bullet to come tearing through my skull. Whitney's yacht was small, but comfortable enough for the voyage he invited me on to Rio, a month of hunting jaguar. The weather was fine, until we were off the coast of New Guinea. Then it changed with all the suddenness of an aggravated woman. The air grew dank and heavy, and at sundown the sky was a dirty gray. Whitney had a fairly good notion of what the forecast was as we leaned against the rail of the upper deck, peering out across the gloom, and he said,
"Hurricane weather."
"I think so, Whitney?"
"No doubt about it. We're in for a blow sometime tonight. But at least we should have cleared Ship Trap by that time."
"What Ship Trap?"
"An island off there to the right. You can't spot it in this gloom. Sailors are afraid of the place."
"Why?"
"Not quite sure. Some superstition, I suppose. But the area's dangerous. Loaded with hidden reefs."
"Well, we ought to make Rio in a few days, don't you think?"
"If we keep to our schedule."
"Oh, I'm looking forward to some good jaguar hunting."
"Best sport in the world."
"For the hunter, not for the jaguar."
Oh, don't be ridiculous, Rainsford. You're a big game hunter, not a philosopher. Who cares how the jaguar feels?
"Oh, the jaguar, perhaps."
"They've no understanding."
"I think they understand one thing. Fear. The fear of pain and the fear of death."
"Nonsense. The tropical weather is making you soft." Well, we're running into trouble a lot sooner than I thought.
Ah, there's quite a wind coming up.
Now, you'd better go down to your cabin, Rainsford. This looks like the payoff. Going to order all hands on deck and get ready for anything.
The squall hit us with all the force of a pile driver. And 20 minutes later, Whitney's trim little craft was getting the beating of its life. I felt like a helpless fool inside my cabin with the crew fighting desperately just above my head. So I climbed topside once more and inched my way forward through the torrential rain to where Whitney was standing, clinging like a drowning fly to the rail just aft the bridge. That you, Whitney?
Rainsford, I was just going to fetch you. We're in trouble.
What's happened?
2 of the forward holds are leaking badly. I think we'll make that channel light. Here, I have a life built for you.
Nice. Where's yours?
What?
Hey, the mast's been hit by lightning, Whitney.
We're listing. All hands, prepare to abandon ship. Man the lifeboat!
The next thing I knew, the deck was awash. I felt myself being carried overboard into the blood-warm waters of the South Atlantic. I struggled to the surface, still clutching the life belt Whitney had pushed into my hands. I tried to grab it, put it around my body. The storm screeched above me crazily. I fought to keep my head above the waves. And suddenly it was over, just as quickly as it came. I found myself floating in the soft swell of a gentle sea. How long I floated, I'm not sure. It must have been for hours, because the dawn was breaking as my feet suddenly touched the firmness of a coral reef. I saw the outline of a beach, an island, and a fantastic castle-like structure in the distance. As I wearily crawled along the reef towards the shore, I saw the figure of a man on the edge of the beach, watching me. He was a giant, if I ever saw one, with a flat-nosed, ugly face. I judged him to be some kind of a South American Indian. He wore nothing but a loincloth and heavy beaded belt, and supported the nastiest-looking hunting dagger I'd ever seen. Hello! Habla español? Parlez-vous français? Okay, let's try it in German. Sprechen Sie?
I speak a bit English.
Oh, I should have thought of that in the first place. Oh, my name's Sanger Rainsford. I was shipwrecked in the storm last night. You understand? Shipwreck. Storm. Smash.
Understand.
I'm afraid my friends on board went down with the ship. I don't know how I escaped with my own life.
You come.
Well, where to? That chateau up there on the hill?
No question. Come. Schnell.
The one word in German surprised me, but I followed him, and he led the way up to the castle. He didn't utter another word until we reached the heavy oaken door. Then he opened it and motioned me inside.
You wait here.
The room I was in suggested a baronial hall of feudal times. And the heavy stone walls were lined with hunting trophies that ranged from antelope to bull elephants and rhino. And at the end of the room, There was a locked iron grill protecting one of the most magnificent collections of hunting rifles I've ever seen. Well, as I examined them with interest, their owner stepped into the hall from another room. He was tall and slender, and he wore a heavy silk night robe emblazoned with a peculiar coat of arms. And as he advanced, his neatly clipped mustache seemed to twitch with a mixture of expectancy and amusement.
It is a great pleasure and honor to welcome Mr. Sanger Rainsford, the celebrated hunter, to my home.
Hi. How do you do?
I've read your book on hunting snow leopards in Tibet. I'm General Kraus.
Kraus? Well, it seems to me I've heard that name before.
During the late war, perhaps. I was a member of the SS High Command in the service of their Führer.
The late and unlamented Führer.
Hitler was a fool. If he had listened to the advice of a professional soldier... But come, we should not be chatting here. You want clothes, food, rest. Salazar, kommen Sie her.
Ja, mein General.
Salazar was a headhunter and a cannibal when I captured him in the Andes. I taught him some German and a little English, and he has made an excellent bearer. Splendid specimen, huh?
Yes, he's quite a boy.
He is an incredibly strong fellow. I've seen him break a wild boar's neck with his bare hands.
Well, you have boar on this island?
Here? No. But we have excellent hunting, my friend. Something more exciting than boar. But that will come later.
Well, look, I've been through a great deal during the last 12 hours.
Naturally. Shipwreck is a harrowing experience.
Oh, Salazar told you about the wreck.
He didn't have to, I knew. You are not the first to founder off Ship Trap Island.
What? So, this is Ship Trap?
Yes. And the most amusing spot, I guarantee. Now, if you will follow Salazar, he will show you to your room and fetch some breakfast. Sleep the day through, my friend, and tonight we will celebrate with a fine dinner.
Celebrate? Celebrate what, General?
Your arrival, of course, and a future of extraordinary interest for both of us.
As he spoke the words, he smiled. And I thought I detected a glimpse of potential cruelty and cold-blooded humor in his eyes. A moment later, I was being escorted to my room by Salazar, the headhunter. And after dining on a fine breakfast, I crawled into a comfortable bed and was asleep almost immediately. It was night when I awoke. I dressed. The door opened and General Kraus walked in.
Good evening, Herr Rainsford.
Oh, good evening.
You rested well?
Yes, very well, thank you.
Dinner is waiting. Will come with me. Perhaps you were surprised this morning that I knew just who you are, but I read all books of hunting published in English, French, and German. I have but one passion in life, and that is to hunt.
Oh, you have some wonderful heads here. That Cape buffalo is one of the largest I've ever seen.
Oh, that fellow. He charged me, hurt me against a tree, and fractured my skull. But he ended up with the others on my wall.
You know, I've always thought Cape buffalo was the most dangerous of all big game.
No, the Cape buffalo is not the most dangerous. Here on this island, I hunt more dangerous game. Oh, please sit down. Conchita will serve us in just a moment.
Conchita?
My cook, she's still young, and her repertoire of dishes is not complete, but she is learning.
Buenas noches, senor.
Buenas noches, Conchita. They begin to serve us.
Sí, senor.
Lovely, is she not? Her father was also shipwrecked on this island. Unfortunately, he's with us no longer.
Well, you were talking about your game preserve before, General. Is there big game on this island?
The biggest.
Really?
Oh, it isn't here naturally. I have to stock the island.
With what, General?
A glass of port, Herr Rainsford.
Thank you.
Some men are poets. Some are kings and others are beggars. I am a hunter. But after years of enjoyment, I found that the hunt no longer fascinated me. You can perhaps guess why?
No. Why?
Simply this. Hunting had ceased to be what you Americans call a sporting proposition. I always got my quarry, always. And there's no greater bore than perfection.
I see.
The animal has nothing but its legs and its instinct. Instinct is no match for reason, which we humans possess. When I realized this, it was a tragic moment for me.
Dispense usted, senor.
It came to me as an inspiration what I must do.
And that was?
I had to invent a new animal to hunt. Conchita. How clumsy of you.
Excuse it, please. Excuse.
You say you invented a new animal, General Cross? Now, you must be joking.
I never joke about hunting. I needed a new animal. I found one. So I bought this island, built this house, and here I do my hunting. The island is perfect for my purpose. There are jungles with a maze of trails in them. There are hills, swamps.
But the animal, General?
I wanted the ideal animal to hunt. So I asked myself, what are the attributes of the perfect quarry? And the answer was, of course, it must have courage, cunning, and above all, it must be able to reason.
But no animal can reason?
My dear fellow, there is one who can.
Oh, you can't mean a human being.
And why not?
I can't believe you're serious, General.
Why should I not be serious? I'm speaking of hunting.
Hunting? Great Scott, General Krauss, what you're speaking of is murder.
That unpleasant word. Perhaps you would be interested to know how I stock my island for hunting? Come to the window with me for a moment. Now, look out towards the sea. I will press this button near my hand.
Why, there are lights flashing on and off out there.
They indicate a channel where there is none. A ship that is in difficulty moves towards the lights. Near the lights there are rocks with razor edges. They can crush a ship like a nut. And always there are one or two who manage to survive, so that I will not become bored. But I treat my visitors first with every consideration. We try to be civilized.
Civilized? And you shoot down men?
Oh, first they get good food, exercise. I put them in splendid physical condition. I suggest to one of them that we go hunting. I give him 3 hours start. I am to follow armed with one of my rifles. If my quarry eludes me for 3 whole days, he wins. If I find him, he loses.
Suppose he refuses to be hunted.
Oh, I give him his choice. If he refuses to hunt, I turn him over to Salazar, who has not completely forgotten his tribal customs. Invariably, they choose to hunt.
And if they win?
To date, I have not lost.
General, I want to leave this island at once.
First we will hunt.
But
You will find this game worth playing. Your brain against mine. Your woodcraft against mine. Your strength and your stamina against mine. Outdoor chess. The stake is not without value, eh?
And if I win?
If I do not find you by midnight of the 3rd day, I will cheerfully consider myself defeated. My sloop will place you on the mainland near town. You can trust me. I will give you my word as a gentleman and as a sportsman. Of course, you in turn must agree to say nothing of your visit here.
I'll agree to nothing of the kind.
In that case... But why quibble? 3 days from now, we can discuss it over a bottle of champagne. Unless...
When do we start?
Now. I will call the dogs in, and Salazar will supply you with hunting clothes, food, and a knife. I suggest you wear moccasins. They leave a poorer trail. I will give you a 2-hour start, my friend. I'm sure you will find that the chase by night is much more exciting than by day. Au revoir, Herr Rainsford, and good hunting.
Half an hour later, I was shown to the edge of the jungle by Salazar. My first idea was to put distance between myself and General Krauss. But as I plunged into the bush, I realized that the island wasn't big enough for that. So I stopped for a moment, about a mile from the castle, to get a grip on myself, take stock of the situation. Suddenly I heard something move.
Senor Rainsford,
Conchita.
take me with you.
What? You?
I would rather die than stay with him any longer. He killed my father, the way he's trying to kill you. He thinks I don't know, but I know. See, I know. Please, take me, senor. I know this island almost as well as the general. Together we may win.
But he'll kill you if he finds you.
I don't care.
All right. Come along.
Not that way, senor.
No, why not?
There is a swamp, quicksand.
All right, Conchita. We'll go in this direction. I'll leave him a trail to follow he'll never forget. We'll steal a couple of pages from the Fox, Conchita. We'll see if we can give Mein General a run for his money. I executed a series of intricate loops, doubling back and again on my trail. I used every dodge the Fox had ever known, and added a few new twists of my own. 2 hours before dawn, poor Conchita was on the verge of exhaustion. We stopped at a thickly wooded ridge. You tired, Conchita?
Si, senor.
Well, we'll rest here. I think we've given the general a better chase than he bargained for. There, you see that tree behind you?
Si.
Okay, I'll help you climb it. Now, you sleep in the branches.
And you, senor?
I'll climb another tree nearby. We'll be all right for the time being. Conchita, are you frightened?
A little, senor Rainsford.
Well, remember that the hunt is never over until you made the kill. And we're a couple of jackrabbits that are very much alive. The day crawled slowly like a wounded snake. And at nightfall, I fell asleep. I was awakened by a warning call from Conchita. And I discovered that General Krause was an even better hunter than I had imagined.
Senor Rainsford, wake up.
Shh. Keep your voice down.
Someone is coming through the jungle.
Here, flatten yourself against the bough. Quickly.
It was the general, Senor Rainsford.
You needn't whisper any longer, Conchita. Come on down.
He did not see us. He stopped near your tree, then turned around and went back. He will now return to this spot again.
I'm afraid he will, Conchita. He's just giving me a chance to make another trail.
You mean he knows we are here?
Yes. But the man's a genius. He can follow a trail at night, then in an extremely difficult trail as well. He's just saving me for another day's sport, that's all.
What can we do?
I don't know. Wait a minute. If we don't make another trail for him, he'll come back here. And we'll prepare a reception for him, Conchita.
Senor?
Look, do you know what a Malay man-catcher is? I learned how to make one of them from the natives several years ago. Look, there's a dead tree over there leaning on a smaller one that's still alive. Come on, quickly. Let's get to work, Conchita. It took me 3 hours to prepare the trap, though I worked at top speed. But it wasn't long before Krause returned. I could hear his boots crunching through the bush as he came on with the sureness of a bloodhound. Oh, nothing escaped those searching black eyes of his. But he was so intent on his stalking that he was almost on top of my trap before he saw it. He started to leap back with the agility of an ape.
Rainsford, if you are within the sound of my voice, let me congratulate you. Not many men know how to make a Malay man-catcher. But I, too, have hunted in Malacca, my friend. You are proving interesting, Herr Rainsford. I am now going to have my wound dressed, but it's only a slight one. I shall be back, Rainsford. I shall be back.
Oh, Senor Rainsford,
Too bad, Conchita. We almost had him.
what shall we do now?
Look, do you know exactly where that bog of quicksand is?
See.
Good. Take me there.
But it's dangerous, senor.
Not only for us, but for General Krause as well. You lead me there, Conchita. We'll see if we can trap him once more. Well, the next 6 hours were a nightmare. We doubled back on our trail to the other side of the island, but Conchita was growing weaker by the minute. As dawn broke once more with a thin veil of mist hanging over the jungle like a shroud, I heard the baying of hounds closing in on us. Oh, this was the payoff. It was now or never. That was Krause. He caught a glimpse of us, Conchita.
Senor Rainsford,
Conchita.
put me down. I have been hit.
Oh, the bullet must have ricocheted. Oh, where were you hit, Conchita?
It's no use. I am dying, senor.
No. Here, put your arms around my neck. I'll carry you.
No, it's too late. The cliff. Run for the cliff, senor, and swim.
The chase is almost finished, Rainsford.
Oh, no. Not quite, Herr General.
You have made a good adversary. I regret the necessity of killing you now.
Oh, you haven't caught me yet.
True, my friend. But you have gotten yourself into a pocket. Behind you, there's only the sea. And on this side, my favorite rifle.
All right, then. Come and get me.
Very well, Rainsford. I will.
He was using a big board gun with enough muzzle velocity to tear the head off a rhino. I turned and I started to race for the cliffs. I heard him shout as he followed.
I am coming, Rainsford.
I tore through the last of the underbrush. I found myself on the brink of the cliff. Below me, at least 100 feet were the crags and the foaming surf. But behind me was Krause with murder in his heart and a bullet to back it up. I had my choice and I made it.
Rainsford!
I jumped!
Salazar. Come and see here. Salazar!
Don't bother to call him, General.
Rainsford.
Salazar can't hear you. He's dead.
You killed him?
It was Salazar or me.
How on earth did you get here?
Swam. I found it quicker than walking through the jungle.
I congratulate you. You have won the game.
I see you've left your rifle in the next room, General.
There's also a bottle of excellent champagne in that room. Shall we sample it and discuss your departure?
You know you don't intend to let me leave this island alive.
That is quite true, I must admit.
Then I'm still a beast at bay. Get ready, General.
I see. One of us will furnish a repast for the hounds, and the other will drink his own health in champagne.
Check.
On guard, Rainsford.
And I must admit, it was the finest wine I ever tasted.
In the animal world, there is the hunter and the hunted, hound and fox, hawk and sparrow, cat and mouse. We in the topmost species have also joined the hunt. But who is to judge precisely which of us are hounds or foxes as we enter the chase? The Chase was created and written for the National Broadcasting Company by Lawrence Clee. Today's script was adapted by Lawrence Clee from the short story The Most Dangerous Game by Richard Connell. Featured in today's cast were Chester Stratton as Rainsford and Stephen Schnabel as General Cross. Others in the cast were Inga Adams and Roger DeKoven. The Chase is directed and transcribed by Fred Way. This is Fred Collins speaking. Next week, the hunter is a killer, and the hunter the high-ranking diplomat, as we board a boat sailing from Siam to India to follow the chase.
And with the conclusion of The Chase from November 30th, 1952, 72 years ago, that wraps up our look at that Sunday 72 years ago here on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. Coming up on our Sunday show, it'll be creepy. We'll have episodes of Lights Out, Quiet Please, Frank Sinatra as Rocky Fortune. It'll get even creepier because we'll go to Pine Ridge, Arkansas and hear the story of Pinky Winky with Lum and Abner. Well, Lum and Cedric, but that's beside the point. Another episode of Jonathan Thomas and his Christmas on the Moon, and we'll wrap it up with Claudia. That's all coming up on our Sunday Classic Radio Theater. Right now, William Pawley, the crusading editor of the Illustrated Press, with Crime in Big Town.
There are two air raid warning signals. A steady blast of 3 to 5 minutes means attack is probable. A wavering tone or series of short blasts means take cover.
We continue now on Classic Radio Theater with an episode of Big Town. The show originally helmed by Edward G. Robinson, playing the editor of the Illustrated Press. The show's greatest success happened when William Pawley took over the role. This episode from 76 years ago, November 30th, 1948, is entitled, I Remember Murder.
Extra hero about I Remember Murder. Tonight's Big Town story brought to you by Lifebuoy Health Soap, used in the homes of 40 million Americans. Extra.
Lifebuoy Health Soap presents Big Town, the headline stories of a great city dramatically reported by Steve Wilson, fighting managing editor whose creed, as with all great newsmen, is emblazoned on the masthead of the Illustrated Press.
The power and the freedom of the press is a flaming sword, that it may be a faithful servant of all the people. Use it justly, hold it high, guard it well.
Now, Big Town and Steve Wilson's headline story captioned, I Remember Murder. Of all the dangerous situations in which the innocent bystander can be involved, the deadliest is to be a witness to a gang murder. And such is the case in tonight's story, which began as a girl rode out of Big Town in a flashy convertible driven by a Cafe Society blackmailer who has double-crossed his pals.
Dick, why are we driving so far out of town?
I'll tell you as soon as we get off the parkway and shake some of this traffic, Lola.
But why are you driving so fast? Why do you keep looking behind you?
I'll tell you in a minute. I'm going to cut over to the old turnpike right here.
Dick, what's the matter with you? You've never driven like this before.
Never had as good a reason, Lola. I think it's okay now. So listen, honey, and I'll tell you why I asked you to come along.
What about the last floor show at the club, Deke?
We've played our last show for Rocky, Lola, honey.
Now, wait a minute, Deke. We have a contract with Rocky.
I had more than a contract with Rocky, Troy. I had a sucker deal on a shakedown sideline, and I got tired of the short end of the cut.
Deke, have you been mixed up in Troy's blackmail setup?
Yes.
Is that why you've been dating those society devs who think it's smart to be seen at the Big Town High Hatter Club?
Sure. But you know you've been the only one I really give a hoot about, Lola. That's why I want you to haul out for Mexico with me. Tonight.
Mexico?
Mm-hmm.
What have you pulled, Deke? Have you crossed Rocky Troy and his gang?
Oh, and how? For 50 grand.
50 grand?
Don't act so surprised, baby. You've known all along I was doing more than swinging a stick over that corny band while you warbled.
No, I didn't know, Deke, honest.
So now you know, honey. So how about Mexico?
No, Deke. I've always liked you. I still like you, but I don't want any part of this. Take me back to Big Town.
I'm not going back to Big Town, baby. I've got the dough and my luggage in the trunk.
All right, then pull over and let me out.
Lola, you fool, take your foot off the brake. Now listen to me, will you, honey?
Let go of me, Deke.
Listen to me.
You can do as you like, but I don't want any part of crossing Rocky Troy.
Lola.
They'll find you and kill you no matter where you go.
Not in Mexico. I've got pals there, connections.
You'll never get there. Let go of my arm, Deke.
Now listen
Let
to me,
me
Lola.
out of this car.
Now, wait a minute. There's another car coming. Wait till it passes us.
It isn't going to pass. It's slowing down.
Okay, sit still. Maybe it's a trooper patrol. Make like we're a couple of moonspooners. Come here, baby.
No, Deke, let go of me.
Come here.
Deke, please. Please.
Come here.
Yeah, Deke.
What?
Let go the lady.
Beefy. How'd you follow me?
Easy, punk. We got a souped-up job, and you're a sucker for a long tail with this maroon convert. Hey, Laffy, it's him. Come here.
Okay. What are you going to do?
Relax, baby. We got a little business with your boyfriend here.
Let her alone, Beefy. She's not mixed up in this.
She is, because you mixed her up in a cross.
What you waiting for, Beefy? Giving him time to sweat?
I'll louse her yaks, Laffy. Get around and yank the dame out of the heap.
Sure, I'll go around the other side. Wouldn't you know he'd have a dame with him?
Listen, Beefy, Lola's clean on this. She wanted out even before you showed.
Sure, we know you pulled this cross solo. So we're giving her an out. Get her out on your side, Laffy.
Yeah. Come on, babe.
No, don't do it. Give him the money, Deke.
Too late, sweetheart. Deke here set a bad example, so you listen to your out.
Beefy, give her a break.
Sure, beautiful. Listen how it's going to be. Laffy's going to clunk you one, and all you're going to remember is the fact a couple of hitchhikers you picked up blasted Deke here, tossed you out on your rear, and scrammed with his dough and jalop. You got that?
Don't. Please don't. Give him the money, Deke.
Come on, baby, out of the heap.
No.
You don't know how lucky you are.
No. No.
Come get a dose of amnesia.
No.
Yeah, baby.
Save the laughs, Laffy. Leave her alone. Come back around here. Slide under the wheel of Deke's jalop.
Okay, coming.
Now slide over, Deke. And don't move your mitts or you'll get it here.
Listen, Beefy. How about 50 grand to split between you for an hour's start?
No dice. We wouldn't live to enjoy it any more than you. Slide over.
Where we going?
Maybe up the road a piece after I get that 50 G's.
Yeah. Then what?
And maybe by morning somebody'll find you in this heap at the bottom of a nice, deep ravine.
Wait. Stop. Please stop.
Holy moly, lady. What are you doing out here in the midst of no place in particular?
I don't know. I can't remember.
Look, lady, I'm only a hack driver, deadheading back to Big Town, but... Hey, who mussed you up?
I don't know. I can't remember even who I am.
Uh-oh, an amnesiac. You must have got tossed out of a car on your head.
A car. Yes, I was in a car.
Here, let me give you a hand into my hack. Lean on me till I get the door open.
Oh, if I could only remember.
Well, now, just take it easy, lady. Just sit back and relax. Bess is an old hack, but she's comfortable.
Oh, my head aches. Aches.
Wait till I switch on the dome light. I'll take... Hey, you've been clunked. You didn't get that falling out of no car.
Car? They pulled me out of the car.
Who pulled you out of a car, lady?
I don't know, but they were going to kill him.
Kill who?
I can't remember. Please help me. I can't remember.
In which case, let me take a look at that handbag you're holding on to like rigor mortis.
No.
Now, look, lady, I'm no stick-up artist. I'm not even trying to find out if you got cab fare to Big Town. I am only trying to find out who you are and how come you're here in the shape you're in. Now, please, lady, leave me look in that bag.
All right, only help me. Please help me.
Thanks, that's what I'm trying to do. Uh-oh.
What? What is it?
Hey, is this not a somewhat oversized gun for a lady to be carrying around?
A gun?
Yeah, lady, and according to my sniff, it has been fired recently, and the barrel is positively contaminated with cordite.
Cordite?
Yeah, miss, alias gunpowder, with which some patients blast other patients and usually get burned in a hot seat for saying.
I don't understand.
You and me both together, lady. And I got a notion this is something which will be very interesting to a newspaper man I hack around. Steve Wilson of the Big Town Illustrated Press.
Hi, Steve. Anything on the hook for your wondrous girl reporter tonight?
Not a thing, Lorelei. Has Fletch on city desk run out of assignments?
No, whoever heard of a city editor running out of assignments? I'm merely a fugitive from an undertaker's convention.
It might help your crime reporting.
I doubt it. Most of the cases we deal with have nothing to do with the fine art of embalming, just hot lead and wet cement.
Oh, you're getting morbid, my lovely.
Maybe I need a vacation. Couldn't you arrange a nice, polite murder for me to cover down in Florida, California, or Bermuda?
I'll talk to the management. Meanwhile, I'd like
Oh,
to...
your private wire, and I'll bet you dollars to donuts I don't even get a chance to talk you into taking me out to a dine and dance after the final's gone to bed.
You're probably right. Hello, Steve Wilson, Illustrated Press.
Boss, it is I, Harry the Hack.
Hello, Harry. Where have you been all evening?
A hack and a somewhat inebriated suburbanite to his hillside home and spouse, but it is the return trip I'm calling you about.
What's up, Harry?
Well, whilst highballing back along the old turnpike, I pick up a very mussed-up female amnesiac who cannot remember her name, but who vaguely recalls something about a murder.
A murder?
Yeah, and she has a man-sized cannon in her hand, bag smelling of recent and sudden death.
Good grief. Anything else in her handbag?
Not a thing to tag her, Mr. Wilson.
Any sign of a victim, Harry?
Not a sign. No car, no body, no nothing. And I am wondering if I should turn her over to the law.
Where are you, Harry?
Phoning from a hash wagon at the city line.
Anything to indicate where she lives? Store tags on her clothing?
Well, that I did not presume to investigate, boss. But there is one thing which makes me think she has been at Big Town not many hours ago.
Let's have it, Harry.
This PM's movie ticket stub for the Grand Theater.
Anything else?
Yep, and a pack of book matches from the Big Town High Hatter Club.
The High Hatters, that may be a lead, Harry. You don't pick up those match covers just anywhere.
Yeah, is that not the classic clip joint where our mutual friend Boris is doorman at?
Yes, so bring her to the High Hatter Club, Harry. I can get there and quiz Boris before you arrive.
Okay, boss, but watch your step. This smells like murder.
I'll bear that in mind, Harry. Make it as quickly as you can, and we'll see if this is a case for homicide.
Thus, through one of his many tipsters of the streets of Big Town, Steve Wilson moves in to take a hand in a gang murder promising dangerous complications. Doctors have proved it in 820 scientific tests. Lifebuoy Health Soap in your daily bath gets skin cleaner.
Yes, cleaner than any other leading soap can.
That's right. After comparing the effects of daily baths with different soaps, these doctors made this amazing statement.
Actually, you are cleaner, safer from BO when you bathe daily with Lifebuoy than when you bathe with any other leading soap.
Here's the reason. Lifebuoy does more than just remove grime and perspiration you can see. Lifebuoy is more effective than any other leading soap in removing the invisible dirt that can form a foothold for BO. Lifebuoy gets you even cleaner than the eye can see.
Cleaner than the eye can see.
Yes, after 820 scientific tests, these doctors say Lifebuoy's purifying ingredient makes the difference. And this same purifying ingredient actually makes Lifebuoy milder, safe even for a baby's tender skin. So enjoy a Lifebuoy bath every day. You'll love the creamy rich lather, the wonderful mildness. Get Lifebuoy tomorrow. Now back to Big Town and tonight's swift-moving story captioned, I Remember Murder. Acting on a lead from Harry the Hack that a girl he picked up on a lonely suburban road may be involved in a murder, Steve Wilson has arranged to meet Harry in front of the Big Town High Hatter Club and is driven there in a press car to question the doorman, a more or less mad Russian known as Boris Godunov Najinsky Pavlovich.
Hello, Boris.
Mr. Wilson and the so lovely Miss Killiburn. Welcome to the High Hatters Club.
Hello, Boris. How's the doorman business?
Colossally terrible, Miss Killiburn. The doors get more, the tips get less. And soon I think I forsook this classy costume for some tights of my great love, the ballet.
Well, before you do, Boris, could you give us a little information on what's been going on around here tonight?
Mr. Wilson, here at this clips joint, I work overtime at being like them three monkeys in statuettes.
Well, how do you mean, Boris?
Around this place, Miss Killiburn, if you wish to live healthy so long, you should hear no evils, see no evils, and keep shut with the mouth. But for you, my very good friend, I will make with the talk like a radio serial.
Harry the Hack should be here any minute with a girl who may have been at the High Hatter tonight, Boris.
Lots of girls come to the High Hatter, Mr. Wilson.
This one can't remember.
Some should forget.
Oh, here's a cab, and it looks like Harry's wondrous one-horse shay.
Yeah, that's Harry, and he should have the girl with him.
Good. Boris has memories like elephants. Especially ladies, I don't ever forget.
Hiya, boss. Miss Kilpine, Boris.
Oh, hello, Harry.
Hello, Harry, my monkey wrench friend. Where is this ladies with the amnesias?
In the back. Here, I'll open the door and switch on the light.
Harry, I don't see her.
Oh, she's back here in the corner. Come on, lady.
No, please, I'm afraid. I can't remember.
Don't worry, lady. Nobody's going to hurt you. You're amongst friends.
No, please.
Let me take a look at her, Harry. She may need a doctor right away.
Please take me home.
Of course, miss. Just as soon as we find out who you are and where you live.
I don't know. I can't remember.
Boris, take a look at this girl. Have you seen her here at the High Hatter?
Oh, have I seen her? Here she makes with singing with Dick Dale's band. From the side entrance, she went away with him in his red roadster automobile maybe 2 hours ago.
That does it. What's her name?
Her singing name is Lola Lynn.
You know where she lives, Boris?
The same building where this Dick fella lives, at Big Town Arms, 2 blocks away from here. Only not together.
Hadn't we better take her home and get a doctor, Steve?
Yes, Lorelei, but there's something ugly back of this, and I think we'd better get homicide in on it before it explodes. Where's her handbag, Harry?
Right here, boss, and that smoked rod is still nestling in the nest. I didn't touch it.
Well, let's have a look.
There it is, boss. Some cannon, huh?
Yes. And hardly the weapon a lady would choose.
How do you figure it, Steve?
It could be a frame-up, Lorelei. But there's no use speculating until we find out what happened to Dale and his car.
But meanwhile, Steve, if this girl didn't fire that gun, the person who did may try to shut her up if they find out we've got her.
Yes, and I think we'd better get her away from here. Get onto the wheel, Harry. Drive to the Big Town Arms.
Jack, boss.
Hadn't I better come along, Steve?
No, Lorelei. Get back to the press office. Call the State Highway Patrol covering the North Turnpike section. Check on any accident or incident involving a red roadster belonging to Deke Dale.
Right, Steve. Where will you be if I get anything?
At Miss Lynn's apartment, if I can get in.
Okay.
There's some keys in her bag, boss.
Good. Get going, Harry. Thanks, Boris, until you're better paid.
Think nothing's of it, Mr. Wilson. And if around here that Rocky Troy and his guerrilla fellow should make with some questions, I don't tell them nothing.
Yes, but watch your step, Boris. This may be murder, and it may be tied to the management of this clip joint.
Murder. I remember now.
What do you remember, Miss Lynn?
I remember.
Think hard. Try to remember what happened.
I remember murder.
Hey, Rocky.
What's up, Beefy? What's the idea of crashing into my private office like the joint's on fire?
Maybe it is, Rocky.
Shut the door and unwind. What's happened?
Maybe plenty. Guess who's been out front quizzing that comic Russian character you got opening doors?
Listen, Beefy, I'm in no mood for guessing games. Let's have it. Who's been out front quizzing Boris?
That racket-busting newspaper guy from the press?
Wilson?
Yeah, Wilson and some dame. And a hack drove up and Wilson got inside and talked to somebody.
Who?
I couldn't see, but I think it was a Lynn canary.
Lola Lynn. So what?
Well, look, Rocky, there's something me and Laffy didn't tell you.
Tell me now.
You said to tail Dick Dale and get him in the 50 grand if he started a scram town.
Tell me something I don't know.
You didn't say the Lynn dame would be with him, and you didn't tell us what to do with her.
What did you do with her?
We clunked her and dumped her in a ditch before we blasted Deke, and then put the rod in her handbag to make it look like she done the job.
You dopes. She'll squawk and have the cops all over us by morning.
No, she won't. She knows we'll get her if she helps.
Don't kid yourself. You Stoops fixed it so she talks or takes a murder rap. Putting that gun in her bag made sure of that.
Creeps, I never thought of that.
You don't think, period.
We figured she'd come out of the clunk so scared she'd sink the rod and give her the story we gave her about a couple of hitchhikers blasting Deke.
So somebody finds her and the gun, tips Wilson, and you fatheads are in the fire. Where's Laffy?
He's tailing Wilson. He's going to phone back as quick as he gets what gives.
There ain't time to wait. Go get that slug, Boris. Get him up here.
No can do. I tried. He knocked me through the plate grass and scrammed.
You stoop. Now they've really got something. Wilson will ring in the cops on this. We got to get out of here.
Say, maybe that's Laffy now.
It better be. Yeah?
Rocky, it's me. It's Laffy.
Spill it, you rat-faced hyena.
Did Beefy watch you?
Where's Wilson? Who was in that hack?
The Lynn dame. And they're at her place at the So what I gotta do?
Listen, you dumb comic. You and Beefy louse this layout. I'm sending him over. Get that dame and shut her up before she squawks to the cops.
Yeah, but Rocky, what about Wilson? He's up there with her.
That's his funeral for mixing in this. Get him before he gets the lot of us.
Mr. Wilson.
Yes, Miss Lynn.
Thank you for bringing me home, but I still can't remember what happened.
Oh, it's all right, Miss Lynn. It's just the shock. It'll all come back to you. Just lie still there on the couch and take it easy.
It's like a nightmare. I remember Deke wanting me to go away. Then 2 men came.
Yes, go on.
I seem to remember them, know them. Something about hitchhikers killing Deke. Not to talk or they'd kill me. Not to talk.
Well, don't talk. Just take it easy, Miss Lynn. The police should be here soon. I'm going to call my office and... Wait a minute. Be quiet.
Mr. Wilson, it is me, Boris.
Boris? Well, just a minute, Boris. I'll unlock the door. What's up, Boris?
Something very bad, Mr. Wilson. Close the door quick.
Yes, what happened?
Right after you leave in the heck, one of Troy's guerrillas tries to make me talk. But I am the fella he thinks he is. So I toss him like potato sacks through some plate glass and makes like the wind here to tell you that the borscht, she is boiling over.
Thanks, Boris. Watch that door. We may have visitors if you were followed.
You were followed, Mr. Wilson.
Oh, how do you know for sure, Boris?
While I am making mincemeat out of the big fella called Biffy, a little fella who all the time laughs like hyenas is following after you in another hexagon.
Well, in that case, we're in for a showdown, and I'd better call my office. See if there's any report on Dale and find out if Inspector Callahan is on the way.
Steve Wilson's office, Illustrated Press.
All right, the fat's in the fire. Rocky Troy's outfit know we've got Lola Lynn. Any word on Deke Dale?
Plenty, Steve, and all bad. Highway Patrol found his car at the bottom of a ravine on North Turnpike.
What about Dale?
Rigor mortis had set in due to a hole in his head.
That does it. Did you get Inspector Callahan?
He's on his way to the Big Town Arms. He should be there in 5 minutes.
Good. And...
Mr. Wilson, somebody is shooting the lock off the hallway door.
Steve, what happened?
We've got visitors. Hang on, Lorelei. I'm leaving the phone off the hook.
Oh, Steve, be careful.
Boris, get Miss Lynn out of here in the bedroom, quick.
Okay. Come on, Miss Lynn.
What's happening, Mr. Wilson? What's happening?
It remains to be seen. Get in the bedroom with Boris, Miss Lynn.
Come on, Miss Lynn. I hide you some places and come back.
No, stay with her, Boris. I'll try to stall these rats. Hurry. That door isn't going to hold much longer.
Steve.
Lorelei, stay on the phone, but keep quiet. Notify police headquarters. Tell them to pick up Rocky Troy for murder.
But what about you, Steve? You haven't got a gun.
Just dust off my obituary and bring it up to date. Thus caught in a deadly attempt to cover up one murder, Steve Wilson faces a really dangerous showdown with the killers. In a moment, we'll come to the exciting climax of tonight's story, brought to you by Lifebuoy Health Soap. It's amazing, I know, but doctors have proved it. Lifebuoy, with its purifying ingredient, gets skin cleaner. Stops BO as no other leading soap can. Yes, after comparing the effects of daily baths with different soaps, these doctors made this amazing statement. Actually, you're cleaner, safer from BO when you bathe daily with Lifebuoy than when you bathe with any other leading soap. It's Lifebuoy's purifying ingredient that makes the difference. Remember, this purifying ingredient actually makes Lifebuoy milder, safe even for a baby's tender skin. So bathe daily with Lifebuoy. And ask for Lifebuoy in the big new bath size. It's generous, luxurious. Get new bath size Lifebuoy tomorrow. Now back to Steve Wilson of the Big Town Illustrated Press and tonight's 5-star story headlined, I Remember Murder. Caught in the middle of a gangland cover-up of one murder, Steve grimly talks to Lorelei over the phone as he waits for the killers to smash open the door of the apartment of the key witness to the original crime.
Steve, can't you get out of that apartment?
No, Lorelei, and Boris has hidden Lola Lynn in the bedroom. I've got to stall them till Callahan and his homicide boys get here.
Oh, good luck, Steve. Callahan should be there in a few minutes.
Thanks, my lovely. I'll need it. I think they've smashed the hall door open. Stay on the line. I'm leaving the phone off the hook.
This is it.
That boy, Beefy. Shove her open.
Yeah, let's get that Lynn dame before that shot fetches a cup. Yeah. Come on in.
Yes, boys. Come on in.
Hey, Beefy. Look at who's waiting for us. That newspaper lug Steve Wilson, the racket buster. Ain't that a laugh?
Keep him covered in canned comedy, will you?
Let's bust him now, Beefy. Let's bust the racket buster. Hey, how's that for a gag, huh?
Also laughs or I'll bust you one.
Oh, where's your sense of humor, big boy? Let your runty partner enjoy a last laugh while he can.
Clam Wilson, I only want one thing out of you.
Name it.
Where's that Lynn dame?
She went out to walk a dog. Won't you sit down and wait?
Oh, what a gag. What a line.
Cut it, Lappy.
Yeah, hadn't ought to have done that, Beefy. I ain't forgetting that slap. Anything for a laugh, put a slug in the mush.
Easy, Laffy. Yeah. Swing that rod on me and I'll tear you apart with mine.
I can wait.
Why, wait, Laffy. Your big pal can finger you into the chair for the murder of Deke Dale as well as Lola Lynn.
Don't feed me payoffs, Wilson. I figure my own gags and tags.
Yeah, Clam Wilson. Where's the Lynn dame?
Well, you won't find her.
Look in the bedroom, Laffy.
Turn my back on you, you slug? Like nothing.
Look in the bedroom or I'll take you with Wilson.
Okay, but blast at me and on the way down to the floor, I'll take you with every slug in my rod.
Don't be a dope. Get that dame and let's get out of here.
Okay. Mind Wilson while I look for that dame in here.
All right, Wilson. Against the wall. And quit bunching yourself to jump me.
Don't worry, Beefy. You handle that gun like an expert. No one could take it and live.
That's right, Wilson. So against the wall. Make like an eagle.
Well, this... Oh?
Yeah, now hold it.
Beefy!
Effie, what gives in here? Effie, you louse who switched off the lights.
I did, Beefy, leaning against the switch.
Light or no light, I'll get you, you slug.
Nice try.
Come on, Wilson, you slug. Talk up and I'll take it.
No, thanks. Homicide's coming to take you, Beefy.
Back at herself, eh, Wilson? All right. Let's see how long you last. Down there.
Okay, let's see.
Mr. Wilson? Mr. Wilson?
Yes, Boris?
In here I got the laughing boy like cold turkeys. How you make out?
All right, Boris. I got him with a standing lamp. Wait till I find this gorilla's gun. It's here on the floor somewhere. Oh, I got it. Now, where's Miss Lynn?
In the clothes closet, and she recognized them fellas' voices. Almost everything she remembers now.
Callahan will need her as a material witness. Oh, yes, just a minute, Doris. I almost forgot Miss Kilburn is still on the phone.
That I should not wonder you would forget.
Steve Wilson, you crazy character.
Yes, Lorelei, my lovely. What's bothering you?
What's bothering me? Why, you Stevie, you hit. I heard you gasp.
Oh, just come on, my lovely. He only shot out a couple of my gray hairs.
Your gray hairs? Another couple of minutes hanging on this phone and I'd have been Whistler's mother. Is Callahan there?
No, but I think he's pulling up outside. Switch me to Fletch on city desk, and I'll give him the lead for the final.
How's Lola Lynn?
She's okay, and she remembers the murder.
Good, but remember, you've got a date to take me to a dine and dance tonight.
And so ended, with the roundup and conviction of Rocky Troy and his murderous gunsells, another exciting newspaper adventure of Steve Wilson and his staff of the Big Town Illustrated Press. And now, before telling you of next week's headline story, remember, doctors have proved it. Lifebuoy, with its purifying ingredient, gets skin cleaner. Stops BO as no other leading soap can. Yes, you're cleaner, safer from BO when you bathe daily with Lifebuoy than when you bathe with any other leading soap. Ask for Lifebuoy Health Soap tomorrow. Next week, the makers of Lifebuoy bring you a hard-hitting story of gambling treachery entitled The Lost and Found. Another exciting assignment in the newspaper career of fighting Steve Wilson of Big Town. Don't miss it. In tonight's dramatization, all names, times, and places are fictional, and any similarity to other names and places is purely coincidental. Big Town features Edward Pawley as Steve Wilson, Fran Carlin as Lorelei Kilborn, and was written and directed by Jerry McGill. Now, Big Town bids you good night until next Tuesday night, same time, same station, when you'll hear the newsboy calling...
Extra, extra, hear all about it. The story of Steve Wilson and the lost and the found, brought to you by Lifebuoy Health Soap, another fine lever product. Extra, extra.
New Rinso with Solium puts sunshine in your wash. Yes, rain or shine, new Rinso with Solium gives your wash an amazing new brilliance. You can dry your wash anywhere, and white clothes will turn out not just whiter, but actually whiter than new. And washable colors not just brighter, but even brighter than brand new. It's because new Rinso contains the scientific sunlight ingredient, Solium. New Rinso is so safe for clothes, so kind to hands. Find out for yourself how new Rinso with Solium puts sunshine in your wash. Only new Rinso contains Solium. Today, more women use Rinso than any other wash day soap in the world.
From 76 years ago, November 30th, 1948, Big Town on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. Up next, Ceiling Unlimited.
Every family should have a home shelter area. Every family should stock that shelter area with a 2-week supply of food and water. Prepare now to survive disaster.
Orson Welles created and starred in the CBS radio series Ceiling Unlimited, from 1942 to 1944. The show, sponsored by Lockheed Vega Corporation and aimed to glorify the aviation industry and dramatize its role in World War II. Welles conceiving the series to recount the heroic efforts of the Allied servicemen during World War II. The show focused on aviation, exploring its history and significance in the war effort. Each quarter-hour program a testament to the bravery and sacrifice of those involved in the war. As the show's creator and star, Welles deeply invested in Ceiling Unlimited. Although he was unable to serve in World War II due to a bad back and flat feet, he channeled his energies into this patriotic endeavor. His involvement helped bring attention to the series and its message. Now this episode goes back to November 30th, 1942, 82 years ago today. Wind, Sand, and Stars.
Hello, Americans. This program is brought to you by the men and women of Lockheed and Vega. I was standing out in final assembly on P-38 Lightnings over at one of the plants Saturday, talking to some mechanics, when the public address system was switched on. This is what we heard.
Attention! The following news is just coming over the press wires. In a sweep over North Africa, Lockheed P-38 Lightnings brought down 40 Axis planes. All our planes returned safely to their bases.
For a minute, the Lockheed plant sounded like New Year's Eve, and then everybody went back to work. Good news like that about our fighting planes means a lot to all of us. The P-38 Lightning is something to cheer about. So is the Ventura bomber we make at Vega and the 4-engined B-17F. Those planes are writing history in the sky. Behind them is more than history. A tradition of nerve and know-how, of courage and patience and imagination. Behind them, behind all great planes, is the story of aviation. This broadcast, Ceiling Unlimited, is dedicated to one of aviation's pioneers who's fighting in North Africa tonight. In the old days, he flew the mail there, opened the route between Toulouse and Casablanca. Guillaume, old friend, a Of you, I shall say a few words. That time you were lost over the Grand Atlas, we learned you'd been gone a week. It was winter. I'd come up from farthest to Misamis to join Daly at Casablanca. For 5 days, the two of us, each in his plane, had ransacked the mountains. 2 ships. It seemed to us that 100 squadrons navigating for 100 years would not have been enough to explore that North African range. We'd lost all hope. The very Berbers themselves, bandits who'd commit a crime for 5 francs, refused to form a rescue party out of fear of those mountains.
We should surely die. The forbidden Atlas never give up a man in winter.
And when a second time I slipped between the towering walls and giant pillars of the Atlas, it seemed to me I was no longer seeking, but was now sitting up with your body in the silence of a cathedral of snow. You'd been gone a week, I say. And I was lunching between flights in a restaurant in Marrakesh when a man stuck his head in the door and called out,
"They fangiame!"
All the strangers in the restaurant embraced. I remember we found you, we cried like fools. Put our arms about a living Guillaume. Resuscitated. The author of his own miracle. And it was at that moment that you pronounced your first intelligible sentence.
I swear that what I went through, no animal would have gone through.
Frozen memories. It was hard for you to thaw them out. But there in that hotel room in Marrakesh, slowly, word by word, moment by moment, you told us the story. A storm had bottled up all space and sent every other male pilot back to his starting point, but you'd taken off in the hope of finding a rift in the sky. You found this rift, this trap, a little to the south.
15,000.
Now about 15,000 feet, the ceiling being a couple of thousand feet below you and pierced only by the highest peaks. You set your course for Dakar.
Down currents.
Down currents. The engines run on, but the ship seems to be sinking. You jockey to hold your altitude. The ship loses speed and goes mushy, and still you sink.
The sky seems
the
to
whole
be coming
sky
down.
seems to be coming down on you. You can't land anywhere, and you try in vain to turn around and fly back into those zones where the air is dense and solid as a pillar has held you up. That pillar has melted away. Everything here is rotten, and you slither about in a sort of universal decomposition while the cloud bank rises apathetically, reaches your level, and swallows you up. You almost had me in a corner once, you explained.
Almost had me in a corner once. As soon as I felt I was caught, I dropped the controls, and I grabbed my seat for fear of being flung out of the ship. The wind rolled me over and over like a hat in a road from 18,000 feet down to 10. Then I caught a glimpse of a dark horizontal blot that helped me right the ship. It was a lake. Flew around that lake almost 2 hours till I ran out of fuel, and I set the ship down in the snow. She went over on her nose. When I dragged myself clear of her, I stood up, and the wind knocked me down. I stood up again, went over a second time. So I crawled into the cockpit and dug me out of shelter in the snow. Remember, I pulled a lot of mail sacks around me, and I lay there for 2 days and 2 nights. The storm blew over, and I started to walk my way out. I walked for 5 days and 4 nights. And you know what amazed me?
Drink, old fellow. Drink.
No, I must tell you this. After 2 or 3 or 4 days of tramping, all you think about is sleep. I would long for it, then I'd say to myself, if my wife still believes I'm alive, she must believe that I'm on my feet. The boys all think that I'm on my feet. As early as the second day, you know, the hardest job I had was to force myself not to think. The pain was too much, and I was really up against it too hard. I had to forget that, or I shouldn't have had the heart to go on walking, but I didn't seem to be able to control my mind. It kept working like a turbine. Still, I could more or less choose what I was to think about. I tried to stick to some films I'd seen, a book that I'd read, but the film and the book would go through my mind like lightning. I'd be back where I was in the snow, and it never failed. So I would think about other things. I had to stop every 2 or 3 hours to cut my shoes open a bit more and massage my feet. They were swollen. Maybe my heart would be going too fast. I was beginning to lose my memory. Every time I stopped, I forgot something. The first time, it was a glove, and it was cold. I had to put it down in front of me, and I'd forgotten to pick it up. Next time, it was my watch, and my knife, then my compass. And each time I stopped, I stripped myself of something that I needed. I was becoming my own enemy. I can't tell you how it hurt me when I found that out. I was crawling along the side of a sheer wall, hanging over space, digging, kicking out pockets in the ice so that I could hold on. All of a sudden, my heart conked, hesitated, started up again, beat crazily, and I said to myself, if it hesitates a moment too long, I drop. I stayed still and listened to myself. I think that never in my life have I listened as carefully to a motor as I listened to my heart, me hanging there. I said to it, come on, old boy, go to work. Try beating a little. That's good stuff my heart is made of. It hesitated, but it went on. You don't know how proud I was of that heart.
There was one time, however, when you slipped and finding yourself stretched flat on your face in the snow, you threw in your hand. You were like a boxer emptied of all passion by a single blow, lying and listening to the seconds drop one by one into a distant universe until the 10th second fell. And there was no appeal. All that you had to do in the world to find peace was to shut your eyes. So little was needed to blot out that world of crags and ice and snow. Let drop those miraculous eyelids, and there was an end of blows, of stumbling falls, of torn muscles and burning ice, of that burden of life you were dragging along like a worn-out ox, a weight heavier than any wain or cart. And your body, that beast now gorged with suffering, lay ready to participate in the indifference of marble. Your very scruples subsided. Guillermet, you miser. You'd made up your mind to deny us your return, to take your pleasures selfishly without us, among your white angels in the snows. And then remorse floated up from the depths of your consciousness.
I thought of my wife. She wouldn't have any money if she couldn't collect the insurance.
When a man vanishes in France, his legal death is postponed for 4 years. This awful detail was enough to blot out the other visions. You were lying face downward on a bed of snow that covered a steep mountain slope. With the coming of summer, your body would be washed with this slush down into one of the 1,000 crevasses of the Atlas. You knew that. But you also knew that some 50 yards away, a rock was jutting up out of the snow.
I thought if I get up, I may be able to reach it. If I can prop myself against the rock, they'll find me there next summer.
Once you were on your feet again, you tramped 2 nights and 3 days.
What saves a man is to take a step, then another step. It's always the same step, but you have to take it.
I swear that what I went through, no animal would have gone through. That sentence, the noblest ever spoken, defines man's place in the universe. There's a tendency to class such men as you with bullfighters and gamblers. People extol your contempt for death. No, Guillermet, I would not give a fig for anybody's contempt for death if its roots are not sunk deep in an acceptance of responsibility. I once knew a young suicide. I can't remember what disappointment in love it was which induced him to send a bullet carefully into his heart. But I remember having felt, on learning of this sorry show, an impression not of nobility, but of lack of dignity. So, behind that attractive face, beneath that skull which should have been a treasure chest, there had been nothing. Nothing at all. And when I heard of this meager destiny, I remembered the death of a man. He was a gardener. He was speaking on his deathbed.
You know, I I used to sweat sometimes when I was digging. My rheumatism would pull at my leg, and I would damn myself for a slave. And now, do you know, I'd like to spade and spade. It's beautiful work. A man is free when he's using a spade. Besides, who's going to prune my trees when I'm gone?
That man was bound by ties of love to all cultivable land and to all the trees of the earth. Like you, old friend, he battled against death in the name of his creation. He was a man of courage, of responsibility. You knew that you were responsible for yourself, for the males, for your family, for the fulfillment of the hopes of your comrades, for aviation itself. You held in your hands their sorrow and their joy. You were responsible for that new element which the living were constructing and in which you were a participant. To be a man is precisely to be responsible. It is to feel shame at the sight of what seems to be unmerited misery. It is to take pride in a victory won by one's comrades. It is to feel, when setting one stone, that one is contributing to the building of the world. Of such stuff are the pioneers of aviation made. Our broadcast tonight was based on one of the great classics of aviation, Wind, Sand, and Stars by Antoine de Saint-Exupéry. It was our very great privilege to have with us in the role of Guillaume, Lieutenant Burgess Meredith of the Flying Training Command. Good night, Americans.
This program was presented by the Lockheed and Vega Aircraft Corporations of Burbank, California. This is the Columbia Broadcasting System.
And from 82 years ago, November 30th, 1942, Orson Welles' Ceiling Unlimited here on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. Up next, Jonathan Thomas and his Christmas on the Moon.
Civil defense is common sense. This is Fred McMurray. Home shelters can be built for as little as $100. Simple plans for building inexpensive home shelters are available free from your Civil Defense office. Ask for a copy of the Family Fallout Shelter booklet.
Now the second episode of Jonathan Thomas and his Christmas on the Moon. This episode goes back 86 years, November 30th, 1938.
Don't turn that dial. This is the right station if you want to hear about Jonathan Thomas and his Christmas on the Moon. Jonathan Thomas, who has just turned 6, got himself in a terrible fix. He went to bed at 8:30, which isn't early, nor is it late. And he went to sleep with his teddy bear, Guz. He never could sleep without Guz, because... Well, then when the chime on the clock struck 9, and when it would seem he had begun to dream, a beam from the moon came into his room, and 2 funny people named Ezra and Jeeple slid down and started to frown at Jonathan Thomas and Guz. Well, then Guz woke up and chased them up, as any teddy bear should do. And then Jonathan Thomas, he woke up too, 'cause he heard the fuzz that was made by Guz. And he joined the chase to the funniest place since the world began. And pretty soon he met a man who turned out to be, as he could plainly see, the man in the moon. Then pretty soon, when he was in his room, there was the awfulest noise, even worse than boys can make with their toys, and he got more scared than he dared or cared to let on, 'cause Gus was gone. And he sighed and nearly cried, and if he had, it wouldn't have been bad, and you know because the Squiboblums had kidnapped Santa Claus.
Mr. Man in the Moon.
Oh, for goodness sakes, stop calling me Mr. Man in the Moon.
Oh, but I thought that was your name.
Oh, how very silly. If it's your name, how could it be mine?
But it isn't, 'cause my name is Jonathan Thomas.
That's a fibber, because my name isn't Jonathan Thomas. My name's nothing of the sort, and I'll be pleased if you'll call me that from now on.
Yes, sir. Thank you, please, Mr. Nothing of the Sort. But could maybe I ask you a question?
I don't know. Have you ever tried it?
Please, Mr. Nothing of the Sort, why do we have to come here to old King Cole's court?
My goodness gracious, what an easy question. We come here to King Cole's court because we don't have to go there. And anybody knows that King Cole's court isn't there. It's here. There is where the old folks stay.
Oh.
Oh, what?
Just, oh? Oh, 'cause I wish we could go look for Gus.
Well, I guess there's nothing to stop us. We can look for him or find him or even sex him. Well, if we have enough time. And if we haven't, maybe we can borrow some from anybody. He's got lots of time on his hands.
Ooh, what's that?
Hear ye, hear ye, hear ye. This is the court of the very best sort, for it's the court of old King Cole. Let the good be good and stand as they should, and the bad make confession, for this court is now in session. His Majesty King Cole.
Oh, dear. Ladies and gentlemen, and everybody else, this is the most serious moment of history. And anybody who ever studied history knows how serious that is. No. I mean to say, you all know that Santa Claus has been kidnapped. And if he isn't rescued, there won't be any Christmas this year. And you know what that means. It means that no toys for the boys, no curls for the girls, and Christmas will be very sad. That day of the year will be without cheer, no presents or candy or things, no come, all ye faithful, no carol that sings. And the day will be bad, not merry or glad, and no presents that Santa Claus brings. Thank you. Now then, I am certain that there is a traitor in our midst. There is someone in this city of, oh my goodness, who is a spy for the terrible Squiboblums who kidnapped our dear Mr. Claus. Therefore, we are now going to hold court to find the guilty culprit. And I do hereby and herewith elect Professor I. M. Looney to act as prosecuting attorney, and the tired lion, Mr. Loudly O'Roar, to act as the defense attorney.
Thank you, Your Majesty, and ladies and gentlemen. And now, first of all, we shall proceed. Will the clerk of the court please ask Mr. Humpty Dumpty to come forth?
I think you'd better have him come first instead of fourth, Mr. Looney, so we can keep the numbers straight.
Yes, very well, Your Majesty. Will the clerk of the court please call Mr. Humpty Dumpty to the stand?
Humpty Dumpty to the stand.
Yeah, here I am.
Sit down.
Gosh.
Now then, Mr. Clerk of the Court, swear the witness.
No, listen, Your Majesty. If you brung me up here just to swear at me, I ain't going to stay. I don't like being sworn at.
I said swear the witness, Mr. Humpty Dumpty, not swear at the witness. The word at being a preposition to show the relationship between the object and the verb. and one should never, never end a sentence with a preposition.
Yeah, what about a jail sentence, Professor Looney?
If you please, Your Majesty. Now then, Mr. Humpty Dumpty, where were you on the evening of the second Tuesday of last week?
No place.
Aha! But can you prove it?
Nope, but I sure can recite verses.
Oh, no, don't dare, I warn you. I'll go to pieces,
In the middle of the night when the sun was shining bright and the stars merrily twinkling, no sound was around and the still was so shrill that nobody could hear for listening.
I'm going to pieces. I'm going to pieces. No.
Well, I'm most sorry to regret that due to the fact that Professor Looney has just gone to pieces, court is now adjourned until we put him back together.
Hear ye, hear ye, hear ye. The time has come for everyone to take their seats again. And if you fail, you'll go to jail, which is commonly called the pen. Sit down.
Call the next witness.
Yes. Jonathan Thomas to the stand. Jonathan Thomas to the stand. Where is Jonathan Thomas?
If you please, sir, I'm right here.
That's what you say, but I say that you're wrong here. And the proof of the pudding is in the eating.
Oh, goody. Plum pudding, eh? With mint sauce, Professor Looney.
If you please, Your Majesty.
Proceed.
Yes. Thank you. Now then, Jonathan Thomas, do you solemnly swear that you will bill-fill the sack-doodle of the Billwig Startle-Harsnicks of the Truth Brasty of the Crowley Lynchers of the Nereopuscoff, so help me Hannah say I do?
I do. What, if you please?
Aha! You see, Your Majesty? Evading. And all one needs is but one look at this cringing crook of crying crime, criminally conspiring scamp of cut-walling in his cataclysmic catastrophes, coarse stress, and unchristian company would claim and consider him considerably crazy. A complete confession of contemptuousness, of contempt of court. Unquote. Now, answer my question, can you? Or can't you?
Can I what? If you please.
Aha! Evading again. Now, if you please, Your Majesty, you'll notice that he is about to cry. Trying to soothe our sympathy with silly sobs of sappy suffering, so strife will cease, and success seem to strike sorrow subservient. But I say, Your Majesty, he is guilty.
Quiet. So, it seems there's something in what you say. Proceed.
Proceed, I will. I accuse this prisoner of the bar of being a spy for the terrible Squibblums. For Santa Claus was not kidnapped until after Jonathan Thomas, alias Johnny the Jip, alias Jonah the Jinx, arrived in our fair city of, oh my goodness, which proves it. Your Majesty, I accuse Jonathan Thomas of being responsible for Santa Claus being kidnapped, and I recommend that he be spanked by the royal spankers and also be given 2 bottles of castor oil.
But I do like castor oil.
Neither do I.
Your Majesty, I rest my jolly old case.
Oh, well, thanks, Looney, old fellow. Now, Jonathan Thomas, since you were accused of being a spy for the Squibblums, you must be one. And therefore, it is the sentence of this court that you go to the land of Squibobble and bring back Santa Claus. And if you fail, well, I don't like castor oil either. Well, poor Jonathan Thomas. And what will happen to him in the land of the terrible Squibobbles? Well, you'll certainly find out in the next chapter of the story of Jonathan Thomas and his Christmas on the Moon.
86 years ago, November 30th, 1938, Jonathan Thomas and his Christmas on the Moon. You'll hear another episode on Sunday's show, including episodes of Lights Out, Quiet Please, Rocky Fortune, Lum and Abner, and Claudia. Speaking of Claudia, let's see what's going on the farm next.
Alert today, alive tomorrow.
Plan now with your family for civil defense emergency action. Someday it may save your lives.
Join, work, and share together with others this knowledge of self-help. Civil defense, an American tradition.
Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox, now an episode of Claudia. It appears there's some changes coming. This episode from November 30th, 1948.
Your Coca-Cola bottler presents Claudia, based on the famous play and novels by Rose Franken. Brought to you transcribed Monday through Friday by your friendly neighbor who bottles Coca-Cola. Relax, and while you're listening, refresh yourself. Have a Coke. And now, Claudia.
Number 45 East. Number 45. Well, should be right down this street on the left, Mama.
Oh, Claudia, I should never have let you come.
Why, for heaven's sakes, Mama?
I don't like this business.
Oh, honestly, Mama, you make it sound as if I were doing something wrong.
Stealing into New York without David's knowledge to beg for a Great Dane from two strangers. That doesn't sound like an everyday occurrence to me.
Where is your wild spirit of adventure, Mama?
I'm not going to waste my wild spirit of adventure on this sort of
And
thing.
in the second place, Betty and George Pringle are not strangers.
To my mind, strangers are people whom you don't know personally.
Well, I feel as if I know the Pringles very personally. Well, I listen to them every morning on the radio. What they eat, what they do, where they go, what they see, what they like. So they're not strangers to me.
You've never met them. That's that.
And as for David not knowing, well, what's the use in telling him till I pass muster?
Pass muster?
Sure.
Claudia, are you sure you told me everything?
Yup, I'm sure. I told you that George and Betty Pringle are going to interview me to find out whether we have a satisfactory home for the Great Dane they're trying to place. Oh, they won't let him go into just any home.
If it's a good enough home for me, and a good enough home for David, and a good enough home for your son, it better be good enough for a Great Dane.
Well, I hope so. A Great Dane is something special.
Besides, the farm's already good enough for Bluff. He's very much of a Great Dane.
Yeah, I know. Bluff's my biggest asset. Oh, I'm sure when I tell the Pringles that we live on a farm and that we already have one Great Dane, oh, they'll certainly give him to me, Mama.
Either that or they think you're mad.
You know, maybe he'll be a her. That'd be nice, especially since Bluff's a he.
Oh, dear. I can just see the farm overrun with a litter of small Danes.
Wouldn't it be lovely?
Unfortunately, Danes are never small.
Yeah, that's what's so nice about them. Makes them a man's dog.
I should never have let you come.
Now listen to me, Mama. Now you listen to me. Yesterday, when David and I heard the Pringles talking about that Dane on their radio program, I looked at David and Mama, he wants that Dane. He may not know it, but he wants that Dane.
Poor David. He gets blamed for everything you want.
Dogs shouldn't be single any more than people. David knows that. And that's why he wants the Dane. Oh, number 45. Well, here we are.
Here's where I leave you.
You'll be sorry.
Never.
Don't you want to, really?
No, thank you. Besides, I promised Aunt Louisa I'd be over at 10:30, and it's past that now.
Stubborn, that's what you are.
I get it from you.
Say, Mama.
What now?
Watch the lights before you cross.
Look who's telling who.
Well, I'll call you at Aunt Louisa's later. Cross your fingers, Mama.
They've been crossed ever since you proposed this wild scheme to me last night, but for private reasons.
You know, I think you're taking your responsibilities as a mother much too seriously.
You're right. So goodbye.
Goodbye.
I've got it, George. Hello there.
Hello, I'm Claudia Norton. Hello, Mrs. Pringle.
Oh, come right in, why don't you?
Well, I'm here about the Dane you're giving away.
I knew it right off.
You did?
Mm-hmm. You had that look.
For heaven's sakes. Have many people been here before me?
Just one.
Oh.
Oh, don't look so worried. They didn't get the Dane.
Oh, what a relief.
They lived in a 2-room apartment right here in town. No place for a Dane.
I know what you
Too
mean.
bad, too. He was a nice little boy.
Well, little boys should have dogs, shouldn't they?
Hello there. How are you?
Hello, Mr. Pringle.
George, this is Mrs. Norton.
Oh, I see. About the Dane. Huh?
About the Dane.
I feel as if I were being interviewed for a job.
Well, in a way, you are.
Before we talk business, I think I ought to tell you that I like you on the radio very much.
Well, how nice of you. Thank you.
I listen after my husband leaves for the office.
Most wives do.
Well, it's not his fault. You see, we live in Connecticut, and he leaves early.
Oh.
You live
it's
in the
not
country?
His fault.
Yeah, on a farm. It's perfect for Danes.
Uh-huh.
Yes, it's perfect. The one we have, he likes it very much.
Oh, so you have a Dane already, have
Yes,
you?
we have.
They have a Dane already, Betty.
I heard her, George. Oh, but please, don't think because I have one that I don't deserve another.
Deserve?
You see, I don't think it's fair to have only one Dane. Do you?
Well, that depends on whom you have in mind, the Dane or yourself.
Well, both.
Oh, I see. Have you any other animals?
Oh, yeah. Cow, a rooster, pig, and a cat, of course.
Well, quite a menagerie.
Well, it's more of a farm, really. At least the beginning of one.
A cow and a pig and a rooster and a cat and a Dane. No children?
Oh, of course. Just one. The beginning, too.
It's quite a little household you're running without another Dane, Mrs.
We've just
Norton.
been craving for another one, but, well, as you know, their upkeep is so high that we've been a little reluctant about making the initial investment.
Oh, there's no charge for this Dane. He's from a very good line and just a year old.
Oh, that makes Bluff and this one almost twins.
You see, his mistress is very sorry to part with him, but she has to.
Is yours a male or a female?
Male. What's yours?
Female.
Fortunately, they won't fight.
No, they won't. And we can practically go into business.
Practically?
Business?
Well, you see, this dog is going to be a surprise for my husband. You see, Bluff was a surprise from him to me.
Well, Betty, what do you think?
I think that maybe I'd like to live on a farm, George.
You? You don't know a pig from a cow.
Neither did I at first.
I could learn.
I did. No, I love it. I wouldn't live anyplace else, and I wouldn't ask a dog to either.
You know, it's funny, George. I have a feeling that it's all right.
Then you mean you...
Oh, the doorbell. It's probably somebody else after the dog. Doesn't look like it's going to be hard to give this dog away.
Oh, it certainly won't be. Oh, tell them you've given it away already.
What?
Oh, what'll we do, George?
Well, I'm afraid we'll have to give whoever it is a look-see, Betty, at least.
I'm afraid so.
But I tell you what, Mrs. Norton.
What?
You go into that bedroom and close the door while we interview whoever is next.
Yes, do.
Why don't you do that
Please don't give the dog to anyone else.
Well, we'll try
now?
not to.
I think you'd better answer the door, Betty. Now, Mrs. Norton, you step right in here and we'll call you.
Now, remember now, I'm trusting
Oh,
you.
don't worry. Well, she sure wants that dog, doesn't she, honey?
George,
What?
let's get rid of whoever that is fast.
Well...
Come on.
Well, we'll see. Go on.
First come, I always say.
Mrs. Pringle?
Yes?
I am, Mr.
You're here about the dog.
Yes, as a matter of fact, I am.
Come in.
Thank you. My name
And
is...
this is my husband, Mr. Pringle.
Hello there, fella. How are you?
Hello, Mr. Pringle. Yesterday I heard your program for the first time.
Oh, did you?
Yes, I usually take the 8:04, but yesterday I had an appointment at Grand Central, and I happened to take the 9:15, and my
The
wife was in
9:15.
the other room, and she just happened to turn it on. And I don't usually listen to the morning programs, you understand.
Oh, you
but
don't?
My wife turned that one on, and you had that business on about the police department and the single hair. I thought
Oh,
that was
yes,
very
of course.
interesting.
Yeah.
I was pretty lucky. Right at the end of the program,
Uh-huh.
you happened to be talking about the dog.
Oh, the dog, yes.
He's not given away yet, is he?
Is he, George?
Well,
Is he?
Betty, after all.
Is he a good dog?
The best, out of Hexen Gold and Long Meadow Tigress.
Oh, really? They're pretty fine. I
certainly
know the
are.
breed very well.
Mm-hmm. Oh, you know dog.
How old is the dog?
George,
Now,
why do we...
Betty, now, Betty. Just 1 year old.
Oh, just 1 year.
Mhm.
Perfect. Well, Mr. Pringle, that's really all I have to know. But from what you said on the radio, you need to know quite a bit about the people that are going to get the dog.
We can't just give it to anybody. You understand that, of
It's
course.
sort of like adopting a baby, isn't it?
Well, I guess you could call it that. We've never done it before, you know, so...
Well, I'm an architect, and maybe you'd like to know that we have a 100-acre farm up in Connecticut.
Connecticut?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, sounds like dog country, Connecticut.
Oh, it is. It is. Danes need space, you know. There's
Yeah.
nothing worse than bottling them up.
No, they're big
Not
dogs.
for the dog or for the people who live with him.
Yeah.
I know, because...
George,
Yes, dear?
remember what I told you just before? First come?
My wife says her mind's made up.
Oh, no, and not exactly. You see, there's a lady in the other room.
Oh. A lady wants a Dane?
For a husband. You see, you're not quite the first.
Oh, I was afraid of that.
This lady in the other room, she has a lot of space, too.
And it so happens in Connecticut. And her husband's very nice.
Yeah, her... Betty, how do you know?
Well, he must be nice.
Well, what makes you think so?
Because she's nice.
Oh, fiddlesticks. Isn't that a woman for you? That doesn't
Oh.
prove anything. I'll bet he's a no-good, or he'd have come here himself.
Oh, well.
That kind of man lets his wife choose a dog. Not for me.
I think your husband's right, Mrs.
Sure.
Pringle. You really ought to reconsider the responsibility of a Great Dane is really a man's job. They're
Exactly
so
what I was
big
telling
and-
my wife before.
Oh, no.
You know, well, at least you should investigate this unknown quantity of this lady's husband. don't you
But
think?
we've promised.
Now, look, Betty, 10 to 1, he's a little guy. Not worthy of a Dane at all. Now, this gentleman really knows dogs.
Oh, George is getting complicated.
Why shouldn't it be complicated?
Yes, why shouldn't it?
Because.
Because. Well, that's a good reason. Then let's do what you said in the first place.
What did I say in the first place?
First come, first serve.
Oh.
I see. Then that means that...
You tell him, Betty.
Oh, you don't have to. I was too late, right?
We're sorry.
Yeah,
Oh,
we
my.
really are.
Well, I guess that's that then.
Oh,
huh?
don't be so disappointed.
Why shouldn't it be? You don't get offered a Great Dane every day.
Well, that's right, Betty. Don't tell him not to be disappointed. It's his right.
Well, thanks
He wants to
anyway.
be.
Well, I'm certainly glad I didn't tell my wife I was coming down here. She'd be awfully disappointed if I came home empty Dane. Well, goodbye, Mrs. Pringle, Mr. Pringle.
Bye.
I listened to your program anyway. Thanks a lot.
That's very nice of you. So long, feller. Well, he was a nice guy.
Mm-hmm. She's nice, too, though. So don't get feeling guilty.
Yep.
Let's go in and tell her.
Betty, I'm thinking. You know what?
What?
He was such a nice guy. Maybe we ought to find him a Dane, too.
Some days you seem to accomplish a great deal very easily, and other times you've put in lots of effort without much result. One secret of easy accomplishment is to work refreshed. Take it easy. Pause for ice-cold Coca-Cola. Let that delicious refreshment relax you. Have a Coke, and you'll go back to the job with more zest, whether you work with your hands or your head.
Mr. King, excuse me, but if you'd been George and I, what would you have done?
Given the dog to the man and the lady, too.
But we didn't. I mean, the man is quite dogless.
Not as dogless as you think. He already has one Dane, now he has another, but the second one is a surprise.
Oh, then it's a surprise to me, too.
Well, that it is. You see, Claudia and David are married.
Claudia and... What did you say?
Those two young people are husband and wife. Giving the Dane to her meant giving the Dane to him.
Oh, my gosh. Wait till I tell George.
Not too loud. David's not supposed to know. Not today, anyway.
George! Hey, George, listen.
Every day, Monday through Friday, Claudia comes to you transcribed with the best wishes of your friendly neighbor who bottles Coca-Cola. So listen again tomorrow at the same time. And now this is Joe King saying au revoir. And remember, whoever you are, whatever you do, wherever you may be, when you think of refreshment, think of Coca-Cola. For Coca-Cola makes any pause the pause that refreshes. And ice-cold Coca-Cola is everywhere. This broadcast of Claudia was supervised and directed by William Brown Maloney.
From 76 years ago, November 30th, 1948, Claudia, here on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. Well, that puts the month of November in the books, doesn't it? We'll have the last month of the year beginning on our next program with some great shows, including Lights Out, Quiet Please, Rocky Fortune, Lum and Abner, and Jonathan Thomas and his Christmas on the Moon, and another episode of Claudia. We'll see you tomorrow. Have yourself a great day. See you tomorrow for more Classic Radio Theater. I'm Wyatt Cox.